Indiana, 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 we're all for you. We will fight for the cream and crimson.
Dr. Peg Brand has given the initiative to the riders to mount their Roadmaster bicycles as we begin our pace laps. Dr. Brand in the passenger seat of the pace car, driven by Executive Director of the Indiana University Alumni Association, Jerry Tardy. And let's review the race teams in this year's race, starting with the first row. Chi Omega won the pole, and they will be in the green jerseys. Delta Zeta, Kappa Alpha Theta round out the first row. Row 2, the Psychedelics, the independent team. Phi Mu and the defending champions, Kappa Kappa Gamma.
Indiana, we're all for you.
Row 3, Alpha Delta Pi. In the middle, Pi Beta Phi. And on the outside of row 3, Alpha Chi Omega. Row 4 is Alpha Gamma Delta. In the middle of row 4 is Delta Gamma. And the outside of row 4, the Roadrunners, former winners of the Little 500. Row 5, Kansuko, all girls from the School of Music. Oz in the middle of row 5, Alpha B on the outside. Row 6 from Briscoe Quad, the Briscoe Blades. Alpha Z Delta.
We are coming toward the completion of our first warm-up
on the
lap.
outside.
First warm-up lap now completed. We start lap 2. To the accredited photographers, we ask you please be mindful of the safety lane about the track, the white painted line that has been marked.
Zeta Tau Alpha.
We ask please that you start moving back to that white line. We are on the
on the outside of row 8. Row 9, Delta Sigma Pi. In the middle, Teeter Cycling, and the outside of row 9, Bayou. In row 10, Super Teeter, the Land Sharks, former winners of this race, the Land Sharks, and Kappa Delta, the outside of row 10. And row 11, rounding out the biggest number of entries ever in the Women's Little 500, 32 total teams. So Team 31, Tri-Delt, Delta, 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 and Team 32 from McNutt. Pace car is now rounding the third turn. The field looks in good perspective. Troy, let's talk some more about these wind conditions. It's coming out of the west-northwest, 12 miles per hour. Temperature about 55 degrees.
Yeah, the wind's definitely picking up, I think, as the afternoon progresses. Temperature's getting a little cooler. Temperatures are going to be fine, like we stated earlier, but this wind, I can't believe how much is probably going to have a factor on some of these teams, especially since there's so many rookies to this year's race.
There you see the pace car. One more lap for the pace car before we start racing. As always at the Little 500, lots of color, not only by the teams in the race on the bikes, but in the stands. Lots of support. A crowd of over 6,000 expected for this afternoon's race to cheer on these teams. The pace car begins to pick up pace. And the front 4 or 5 rows in pretty good shape as we near racing a half a lap. This race will be 25 miles. That's 100 laps around this track, about a quarter mile. Takes just over an hour to finish this race. Here comes the pace car rounding the fourth turn. They approach the start-finish line. We're looking for the green flag. It looks good. The pace car crosses, and there it is. They are racing the green flag. The 12th annual Women's Little 500 is underway.
And I think, as we stated earlier, that Gamma Phi Beta team, Team 21, coming on the outside, that could be the Cinderella team we've picked. Obviously, the first 2 rows of the teams we're going to probably be primarily focusing on, along with Team 7, Alpha Delta Pi.
Let's take a look. They're in the green. The green jersey represents the fastest qualifier. That is Chi Omega. Team 2 in the red, that's Delta Zeta, and Team 3, Kappa Alpha Theta. They round out the first row, and they hold that position around turn 4. We're completing the first lap of the race. Here's the shot from the front straightaway, and Team 12 makes the ride from the outside. That's the Roadrunners. Big crash right in the beginning as they cross.
Including last year's defending champion Kappas, although they've already switched and put another rider on the bike so you can get it going. There's still riders down on the ground, a mess of bikes and confusion so soon.
The rule on this, wherever your bike is dropped, you need to bring your spare bike over. You see teams, they're running across. There's an injured rider from Team 28. The race does continue under the yellow as teams regroup. Team 19, that's Forrest. They get back on the bike and out on the track. Team 16, that's the Briscoe Blaze. So just one lap into the race. Major havoc.
Nerves and excitement that goes on here. A lot of rookie teams. Surprised to see that it was so far up front involving the Kappa girls. Now what we need to watch out is this Kappa, the defending champion from last year. As you can see him coming on out of turn 4 right now. They cannot impede, meaning they have to keep the same distance they have now to the leaders. The leaders pick up the pace and Kappas slow their rider down a little bit, and they go from 10 seconds to 13 seconds. They have to say 13 seconds back. They can actually penalize, John, if they creep back up onto the leaders.
Got about 15 teams right in that lead pack. The Kappa's about a quarter lap behind. There you see the lead pack of riders. They're going down the back stretch. So if the Kappas were involved, obviously that was right near the front. They were team 6. Yellow flag still up. Track is clear in the front straightaway. It looks pretty clean, although there are a few riders still down just off the track.
This could be one of the earliest wrecks that involves as many riders as there are that I can remember, John.
There's Team College Life, Team 20. As the leaders cross the start-finish line after the 3rd lap. Okay. And now a big pack is developed right across the start-finish line. There's some of the emergency crew here. There is a health center here, tent set up to take care of injured riders. Some medical folks here to do a great job with these riders. A couple girls still down on the track.
Last year's Kappa Kappa Gamma has a rider involved in that, as well as Alpha Chi Omega, team number 9 in the orange. Both of their riders are being taken to a stretcher. Doesn't necessarily mean they won't return here later on, John. Just means that they need to have a little medical attention to them right now.
And there is the Alpha Chi Omega rider. There's the leaders, Team 1 in the green, Chi Omega. And that is Lindsey Hawkins on the bike for Chi Omega. Team 2 right behind him, Delta Zeta in the red. Jill Harkness on the bike for DZ. Now you can see the pack is reformed. They're rounding the 4th turn, entering the 4th turn now. Still a yellow. Looks like they may go another lap. Chappie Blackwell III is our chief steward. I think we've mentioned to him one more lap as the girls start to pick up the pace. So we should go green on this next lap. Kappas have fallen a little farther behind. I think they can move up a little bit.
Yeah, they're actually, looks like they're going to come across about 20 seconds behind the lead pack.
And it's a key to stay in that lead pack, right, Troy?
Oh, it's so important. Right now, the best thing that Kappas could do is work with some of these other teams that have fallen off the lead lap as well. Work together and try to make it so that all of them come back in. It's so hard to do it by yourself, John.
They round the 3rd turn. And we wait for the chief steward to restart the race. We have completed 5 laps. This would be the 6th lap, although that first crash came just after the 1st lap. Green flag is ready. And it is out. We are back to racing. Chi Omega still in the lead. Team 1, Team 12 on the outside. That is the Road Runners in the white.
White and blue.
And in the middle, Team 3, Kappa Alpha Theta in the all white.
We've already gone from a 20-second down to a 14-second lead that the Kappas have to make up.
Kappa's, of course, one of the favorites in today's race. They have done very well in the preliminary races, and this could be a real setback if they're not able to get back to the lead pack.
Definitely changes the strategy for some of these other teams that are experienced and up front. They're going to try and keep that pace fast, try and make it so that the Kappa girl, if she does catch him, she's going to have to work to do it.
6 laps now completed. Main pack rounding turn 1. Let's talk about the according effect here, Troy. Seems when the riders go down the straightaway, things they form a straighter line. But they go into that curve, it starts to spread out.
Yeah, a little bit of that because the curves are normally where some of the more prevalent accidents happen, although the last one we had happened in the back stretch. What happens when we go down the front stretch, it's going to speed up. As we go into the corners, it's going to bunch up. You're going to see that all day long.
Kappa Alpha Theta has taken the lead, and they are the most successful team in the history of the women's 500, finishing no worse than 6th every year. An outstanding record. Team 15 also climbs right to the top. Alpha Phi right now in 2nd place. And now let's go to the infield to Jody Zink, an interview with Dr. Peg Brand.
Thank you. I'm standing here with Peg Brand. Peg is the First Lady of Indiana University. Her husband is President Miles Brand, and she's also a professor of gender studies and philosophy. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
You know, there was a time not very long ago when it was inappropriate for women to compete in this kind of a race. Is that right?
The history is that as we go into celebrating next year the 50th anniversary of the men's race, there was no women's race except for the tricycles. So we're now at the 12th anniversary of the women's race.
How long have the women ridden in the tricycle race?
I don't know the history of that. It was a long time before, and some of the women alums that come back to campus and hear about this race are absolutely delighted because although it was fun, they always thought it was never equity with the men's race, and so having their own race is really quite an accomplishment.
Right. Tell me, what impact has this race had on the gender studies program here at IU?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would say that any event on campus that involves women primarily and celebrates women has some sort of counterpart in gender studies, and also the Office of Women's Affairs, which is the non-academic unit. So the courses that we teach in gender studies are always looking at the history of women that might have gone unsung and the accomplishments of women. And so to honor women at this race, everyone's a winner at this race.
We understand you've done quite a lot to promote the growth of women's involvement with this race. What kinds of things have you done?
Well, from the first year when I learned that I started the race and had the honor of doing so, I've been inviting women back to campus, and in fact we have about 90 women up in the press box right now who are coming now on an annual basis to support, also offer financial support to teams and their physical support and bringing friends along, and daughters, granddaughters, sons, grandsons, so filling the stands as well.
Great. I have one final question for you. What will you personally take away from this race today?
Oh, well, when I go back to my spinning sessions next week when I'm working out, I'll be a bit more inspired as I sweat through the hours. This is really quite inspiring, and I really do honor all the women here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Peg Brand, the First Lady of Indiana University. It's time now to go back to John in the press box.
Looks like the pack rejoining for these final 10 laps. The Kappa Kappa Gamma team spurts out.
Strong with a lot of team depth right there.
No surprise. They were the heavy favorite coming into this race with the returning riders they had, the quality of the riders, the experience they had, and the performance really in the pre-race.
Oh, definitely. If you could have seen them, John, in Team Pursuit, they look like a well-oiled machine, the four of them working together for that Team Pursuit 12-lap race.
We'll also have a winner in the residence division and the independent division. We'll try to give you those as the race completes. But we are focusing on the leader. That's Kappa Kappa Gamma, team number 6. The yellow jersey signifying defending champions. They have won 2 of the last 3 races, in fact. And this would be 2 in a row for the Kappa Kappa Gamma team. They cross the start-finish line, and that would be lap 92. There are 8 laps to go.
8 laps.
In this little 500.
Fresh riders on for both Phi Mu and team number 7, Alpha Delta Pi. Theta's starting to catch up with some of the other riders who are a little bit off the Kappa mark, but still on the lead lap.
Kappa Kappa Gamma down the back straightaway. Into turn 3. Elizabeth Andrew looking very strong. Although there is a bike ready.
Yep, they're already getting ready for it. They don't know when. It looks like it's going to happen. It may happen this lap. It may happen next lap. It's going to happen.
So they're only going about 3 or 4 laps, Troy.
Kind of dangerous, but they're putting all their eggs in one basket.
Susanna Barrow.
Team number 7 right there. They're on the lead lap. Kappas aren't even going to join them, so she's off the front now. Kappas are going to have to work to catch up with team number 7, Alpha Delta Pi, in the turquoise. They are your leader.
There it is, team number 7. The rider for team 7, Heather Gather-Cole.
And if you notice, they really haven't been doing a lot of the work. It's been Kappas and Thetas all day, so they've just been kind of setting back in, enjoying the race, doing the work when they had to. Now they make an attack, but followed closely by this Kappa Kappa Gamma girl.
And the AD Pies, the Alpha Delta Pi, and the Kappa Kappa Gammas were the final two teams in the team pursuit.
They actually, Alpha Delta Pi actually had a better time overall than the Kappa girls. They weren't able to bring it back in the final round.
And there they are, Team 7 and Team 6 around the first turn. 47 laps now by Heather Gathercole for Alpha Delta Pi. That is almost half the race, Troy. Amazing.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, strength of some of these women are as strong as some of the men. Men are able to do 100 laps sometimes for some of these teams, up to 150, 160, I've heard. Women are able to do that just as well.
And there's your two leaders. Kappa Kappa Gamma, Susanna Barrow, and team number 7, Alpha Delta Pi, Heather Gathercole. They cross the start-finish line, 5 laps to go.
Less than a quarter lap back. You do still have the Thetas. They're still in the hunt of it. They can make it happen and catch, especially if it starts to slow down. If they know it's going to be a sprint, it's going to be a sprint and they're going to cat and mouse and set up for it, allow the Thetas to get right back in the hunt, or are they going to keep the pace back?
And there goes Alpha Delta Pi. Heather Gathercole moves out in front of the Kappa Kappa Gamma rider. Crucial exchange right here. We have only 5 laps to go.
Probably putting their sprinter, the one they want to finish the race on.
It looks like Kappa Kappa Gamma may be ready for an exchange as well.
Yeah,
Here
they
comes
won't do it this lap. They shouldn't do it this lap.
85 with the exchange. Kappa's tried to exchange, and Alpha Delta Pi, the bike was between the Kappa bike and the Kappa exchange. They had to go around another lap.
Another lap. That could hurt them. Definitely going to play a factor here. Tension's going to mount. Kappa girl should have taken the inside.
There will be 4 laps remaining. Right now the Kappas have the lead, but they'll need to make an exchange. That would give the advantage to Alpha Delta Pi.
Definitely the advantage. They have a fresh rider on. They have control.
Here's where the Kappa Kappa Gamma team right here. Crucial exchange. Alpha Delta Pi will take the lead. Here comes the Kappa exchange.
Yep, Kappa exchange. And look what happened there. Thetas, boom, right back into it, right up front. 4 laps to go.
Kappa Alpha Theta is now on the leader, Alpha Delta Pi. Kappa Kappa Gamma trying to get back in the lead. Let's see if these are the final riders. We have 3 laps left to go.
Thetas were able just to be patient with it, John. They worked themselves back up, had a couple exchanges, which slowed things down for the other 2 leaders. But they're tired. They're definitely tired.
What looks like a big lead for Kappa Kappa Gamma is now gone. And now it's a 3-team race. There they are. They cross the start-finish line. Alpha Delta Pi. Kappa tried to pass on the inside, and Kappa Alpha Theta hung right there on the curb. Kappa had to back off.
Not much room on the inside. Not much room at all. Much easier to pass somebody on the outside. It is try to squeeze on that inside. Got curve, loose cinder. They don't have a lot of room.
We're in lap 97. There are your leaders. 7, Alpha Delta Pi. 3, Kappa Alpha Theta. 6, Kappa Kappa Gamma. It looks like a 3-horse race coming down there.
Now's the time to hammer a little bit. Make this girl work. Catch back up with them.
That's the Alpha Delta Pi making their final exchange. And that makes it a 2-team race. Kappa Alpha Theta, Kappa Kappa Gamma, but a fresh, strong rider for Alpha Delta Pi.
She's off the back a little bit. She's going to have to spend a little bit of energy to catch up with them.
The white flag is nearly out. It's in the hand of Chappie Blackwell, our chief steward.
When they come around this next time, there will be 1 lap to go.
The white flag will come out. And again, our 3 leaders all bunched together.
All bunched together. What's going to be crucial is that these teams that are not vying for the lead, not vying for the chance to win here today, as long as they don't interfere with one of these 3 teams. You're going to see the white flag.
Leads the wrestler for Kappa Kappa Gamma, Ann Alterhoff for Kappa Alpha Theta. 1 lap to go. There are your 3 leaders. They round turn 1. It's the Kappa Kappa Gammas in the lead. Kappa Alpha Theta is in 2nd place. Alpha Delta Pi in 3rd. They round turn 2. And the standings stay the same. Kappa Alpha Theta tries to make a move on the outside. Half a lap to go.
Could be real similar to last year's race. Leading it coming out of turn 4, but can you hold it?
Turn 3, it's Kappa Kappa Gamma. On the bike, Lisa Ressler will the swing ride. Here's the finish. It's Kappa Kappa Gamma. Lisa Ressler, they've won it.
3 out of 4 years.
Kappa Kappa Gamma, team number 6, the victorious team.
Strong finish. Strong second place, but they will make up for that unfortunate exchange they had late in the day.
There are your winners. Lisa Ressler, she takes one more lap. The race is still on. It'll go one more lap as teams will fall into their places. But a lot of preparation by the Kappa Kappa Gamma team pays off, and a half a bike victory is all that it was. There you see the congratulations from Alpha Delta Phi. Great race, by the way, by the Alpha Delta Phi girls. They finished second in the team pursuit. They finished second in the team standing, so a very strong team, the turquoise Alpha Delta Phi team.
I'm here with the 1999 winners of the women's Little 500 Kappa Kappa Gamma for the second year in a row. First of all, talk about your emotions right now.
I'm elated. I can't speak. It's overwhelming. It's amazing. I knew we were strong, but we did a great job out there today.
What about you?
Well, I was a little nervous after the fall, but someone told me, they're like, get mad, get angry, and you know, just get up there and go. And after that, I was like, we can still do it. And so I think that made it even more rewarding. We definitely found a formula that works, and we put it together again this year. We have so much fun out there, and we have so much support from all the girls in our house. We just had a great day. I'm so happy to finally be a part of this team. Last year, I'm a rookie rider this year, and last year I watched them win, and I was praying to God that we would win this year, and I knew we could, and I'm so happy to be a part of this team.
Now, Lisa, you were the final person riding the lap. You were the pedal home. Tell me what was going through your mind at lap 99.
Lap 90, it was actually began at lap 98. They actually went in, and I got on the bike at 96, and 98 came around, and I knew Ann from Zetas was on my tail, and I'm like, well, I was on her, and then I was like, if she's on my tail, I don't want to repeat what happened to me last year. And I was like, I got to sprint it out because she's strong endurance, and I knew I had the strength in my legs because she had been going out there, because they saved me for the rest of the race.
Now, speaking about injuries, I know that you were injured around for the individual time trials. You were actually hit by a car and came back to finish actually second. How are you dealing with that? How are you recovering?
Fine. I'm more concerned about her right now, but I recovered after a week. I was fine. Discharged.
Tell me about what happened to you during the fall. Did this affect your race today?
Yeah, I think the pack just kind of got sucked up by the back of the pack. Sometimes people get really excited at the beginning, and, you know, teams kind of pile up, and I was stuck in the middle, and I knew it was a bad place to be, and I knew it was going to be bad. So I'm just glad I recovered and got mentally strong enough to do it. Get back.
Thank you very much. Well, it's time now to go back to John, but first I want to congratulate the 1999 women's champions, as well as all of the participants who competed in the race here today. John?
Jody, a very happy Kappa Kappa Gamma team, as you could tell, recovering from a first lap wreck, and recovered enough to win this race. They fell a half a lap behind and pulled it out, a half a bike victory over the Kappa Alpha Theta team, who finished second. Troy, your final thoughts on today's race?
I think anything can happen. I think we saw that early on with that first crash. We saw a couple other teams that are some of the leaders that were involved in a crash. Crashes make the difference here. If you can stay up front, generally you can stay out of crashes. Then it hold true today, though, with that first crash.
Great excitement, great color, right here from the 12th annual Little 500 bicycle race at Indiana University.
The women's and men's Little 500 races are the flagship events of Little 5 activities during the month of April. Let's take a look at some of the other events. A rainy Monday night was the setting for Midnight Madness practice, a new event on the Little 500 calendar. Though it did not count for series points, riders tested their sprints. In each heat, 6 to 8 riders took a neutral lap before going all out in a one-lap sprint. The top 3 riders in each heat advanced to the following round. In the women's final, Elizabeth Andrew of Kappa Kappa Gamma pulled away from the pack to claim the victory. Jonathan Carlson of Team Dotson was the men's winner. The race for series points started on a beautiful sunny afternoon with the individual time trials on April 7th. From a standing start, riders raced against the clock to see who would ride the fastest over 4 laps. Ann Holderhoff of Kappa Alpha Theta captured the women's title with a time of 2:39.45. Todd Smith of Theta Chi was the fastest on the men's side with a time of 2:26.53. The next event in the Little 500 series was Team Pursuit. This event tested the speed of a team as a whole. 2 teams lined up in the infield at opposite corners of the track. At the starter's pistol, each team ran to their bikes to begin the contest.
Go, go, go. Line up, line up, line up, line up.
Women's teams raced for 12 laps.
Keep going, keep going. Go, 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 go.
The men's teams for 15.
Not bad for college kids.
The top 2 teams in the preliminaries met in the finals. Alpha Delta Pi, led by Heather Gathercole, had the best preliminary time in the women's heat, but they fell in the final to the defending women's Little 500 champions, Kappa Kappa Gamma. The men's final saw the Cutters continue their domination from the preliminaries. The Cutters defeated Phi Gamma Delta to capture the men's title. The most popular event in the Little 500 series, the Missin' Out, took place last Saturday. Similar to Midnight Madness, 6 to 8 riders competed in each heat. The last-placed rider in each race lap was eliminated until 3 riders were left to advance to the next round. Lindsay Hawkins of Chi Omega pulled away from Lisa Ressler of Kappa Kappa Gamma and Amy Aulich of Alpha Phi to win the women's final. Kurt Gensheimer of Acacia outdueled Mike Posley of Phi Delta Theta and Jack Tackberry of Sigma Phi Epsilon in the final lap to win the same title he won 2 years ago. Though not counted for series points, the oldest competition associated with the Little 500 races is the Mini 500 trike race. Starting in 1955, this competition is in its 45th year. Mini 500 runs on Thursday evening before the Little 500 races. This year, Alpha Chi Sigma won the men's division. Alpha Gamma Delta took the women's title. Evans Scholars captured the co-ed division crown.
The WTIU broadcast of the Little 500 is made possible in part by Smithville Telephone Company, offering ISDN to Ellettsville, as well as internet services and custom calling features to subscribers. Smithville Telephone Company, where community involvement is their corporate commitment. Smithville Telephone, connecting you to the rest of the world. And by Taylor Imprinted Sportswear, a division of TIS Incorporated. Taylor Imprinted Sportswear offers imprinted and embroidered logos on T-shirts, sweatshirts, golf shirts, and more. Additional information is available at 331-6795. And by Brunswick, makers of Mongoose and Roadmaster bicycles, who proudly supply bicycles for the Little 500. With additional support from the Indiana University Student Foundation, the Indiana University Foundation, and the Indiana University Office of Public Affairs and Government Relations.
Welcome, race fans, to the 1999 Men's Little 500 race. It's the 49th annual men's bicycle race from the Bill Armstrong Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. Also the 20th anniversary of the movie Breaking Away that was hatched right here. The concept formed in 1962 from Dave Blaze, the rider on the five-side team. I'm John Laskowski, be covering the play-by-play today alongside Mike Bars, former rider for the Sigma Nu team that won in 1990. And Mike, let's talk about this race. 33 teams qualified. A couple teams right near the front that we'll hear a lot from today.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things you want to look at. The field pretty much wide open this year, but if you want to look at a couple teams to watch for this during this entire race, number one, first of all, Phi Delta Theta. Last year they didn't qualify, but they came back with a lot of vengeance this year. Took the pole position. Mike Posley, one of their great riders. Also number two, a team that's been pretty quiet over the past few years, and that's Sigma Phi Epsilon. This year they came on strong. They qualified second. Those are two good teams to look for. Also, if you want to look for an individual rider, Kurt Gensheimer from Acacia. He took the Missing Out title, and he has looked strong in the series events, so you want to watch out for him.
Also, the 33 teams, there'll be some teams in the back of the pack trying to make their move. Who should we look for there?
Obviously, the Cutters. They are traditionally always a strong team. They won the Team Pursuit title in this year's series event. And SAE, Matt Burns and Matt Delk, two riders that have ridden in this race over a few years now, and they don't usually have the legs tying into the last few laps, but maybe this year they're seniors. They want to pull it out.
As you can see, it's bright and sunny here in Bloomington. Good weather for racing. Let's go to Jody Zink on the infield.
Thanks, John. That's right. I'll have all the infield action for you here today. Coming up a little bit later, I'll be talking with President Miles Brand, as well as we'll have a very special feature that we've been working on, paying tribute to the late Bill Armstrong, for whom this stadium was named. This is the first race that he will miss, and we certainly want to remember him on this very special day. Please stay with us for that. Time now to get this race started.
Thanks, Jody. And there you see the pace car and the field of 33 as they take some of the photo laps. The pace car driven by Alumni Association Executive Director Jerry Tardy. And there on the left, President Miles Brand of Indiana University. He just gave the command, gentlemen, mount your Roadmaster bicycles. We're almost ready for racing. Mike Bars, what goes through the players' minds right now?
I'm getting goosebumps right now just watching.
Let's take a look at who we got. Row 1, Phi Delta Theta. They're the pole setter. You'll always be able to see them. They're in the green jerseys. The green jersey always goes to the pole setter. Sigma Phi Epsilon, position 2. And on the outside of row 1, Phi Gamma Delta, always a strong team. Row 2, Phi Kappa Psi. And in the middle of row 2, a very interesting team. That's Team Dotson, a group of 4 varsity swimmers here at IU, all graduating and riding bikes for the first time. They are 5th in the race. Pi Kappa Phi rounds out row 2.
Yeah, like, Sigma Nu, especially here as you get to the row 3, Sigma Nu, Dodds House, Chi Phi, Fertillo, Alpha Chi, Sigma, and Delta Chi. Sigma Nu's got all their riders coming back from next year, and of course we like them guys, right?
Defending champions are the Cutters. Actually, Dodds House defending champs. The Cutters, though, Team 13, one of the favorites in today's race. Lambda Chi Alpha in the middle of row 5, Theta Chi also filling out row 5. In row 6, Collins Cycling from the Collins Residence Hall. Delta Tau Delta in the middle of row 6, and Acacia, another strong team outside of row 6.
Yeah, Cutters finished second last year. They got a great rider. And also Acacia as well. Kurt Gensheimer, probably the best rider in this race.
Row 7's the sleeper row as picked by Mike Bars and myself. Yep. SAE, always a great team in this race. Beta Theta Pi and Sigma Chi all did very well. All 3 teams did very well in the pre-race events. Look for row 7 to move up the ranks.
Yeah, SAE's got Matt Delks and Matt Burns, 2 riders with a lot of experience in this race. The problem with SAE, though, they always burn out late in the race. They have the great legs early on, great sprinters, but when it comes down to the end, they're right in that 5th or 4th spot.
Row 8 is Alta on the inside, Delta Upsilon in the middle, Alpha Tau Omega, the outside of row 8. Row 9, independent team Hickory, Delta Sigma Pi, the business fraternity, in the middle of row 9, Kappa Sigma on the outside. Row 10, Wright Cycling from Wright Quad. Cinzano, row 10 in the middle, and Teeter Quad on the outside of row 10. And the last of our 33 teams, the Evans Scholars. That's the Caddy Scholarship Program with a house here on the campus, Alpha Phi Omega and Alpha Sigma Phi, the last team to qualify. 5 teams were bumped from qualification, so these are the top 33 teams of the 38 who tried to qualify.
Yeah, you got to like the leaders right now. I think the guys, you always look at the front team, obviously, but in quals, you're only riding 4 laps. It doesn't give you a good indication of the 200-lap race. It takes a lot of endurance, takes a good team, good strategy, and, of course, what you need is the X factor in this race. that is luck. You get in the wreck early on, it's going to be a long afternoon.
The Kappa Kappa Gamma team won the girls' race last night. A wreck after the first lap, and the Kappas went down but recovered. Crash is a very important part of the men's race as well.
Yeah, you know, they have a preliminary start that they do earlier in the week to kind of give people, you know, used to coming out, who's going to be on the bike first, and you want to talk to the teams around you. Hey, I'm going to come out. If you've got a strong team next to a weak team, that's something you want to watch, especially teams like, you know, you can look at the Acacia and the Cutters. They qualified back in the pack, so they're not around a lot of the good teams. They got to watch out for wrecks when they're coming out, make sure they're getting to the front with the solid teams, you know, like the Phi Delts and the Sigma Phi Epsilon. You don't have to worry about wrecks with those guys. They're talking. You can see them talking right now.
Here comes the American flag from the skydivers, a tradition here at the Little 500. They're released from the airplane way above, and every year they make it right to the infield, and here comes the American flag, a gentle landing and crowd approval. What a job. And they asked me to do that job, Mike, and I turned it down to do play-by-play.
Oh, come on. They're going to hook you up with the wireless up there.
There you see the pace car, still in the photo laps. 1 lap to go. As signaled by Chappie Blackwell, the starter. There he is in the red jacket. He's got the green flag in his hand. 1 lap to go before we start racing.
Now, this is where your muscles are ready to go. You train all year long for this one day, and I think that's what makes this race so unique. It's one day. One day.
Let's talk about the weather. It's a clear, sunny day, no clouds, temperature in the high 50s, low 60s, a gentle breeze really out of the east-northeast. How are those conditions for the race?
Well, I'll tell you what, usually you get a strong wind, a strong headwind coming down this front stretch right now, but it seems like it's kind of blowing across the field right now, which is going to make for a great sprint. You're going to get whipped in around turn 3, you know, into turn 4, coming to that sprint. So if we can keep a pack together for the remainder of the day, we should see a good sprint for the finish.
All right, that's rounding the third turn, the pace picking up. The pace car rounds turn 4. Let's see if this is the start of the race. The pace car picks up speed. It crosses the start-finish. The field is ready. We're looking for the green flag, and there it is. The 1999 Men's Little 500 is underway. And to the lead, the Phi Gamma Delta team in the white, team number 3. A good start from the outside of row 1. They have the lead as around turn 2. Team number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon in second place, and team number 1, Phi Delta Theta in third place. Look at the riders coming from the back of the pack. Let's get those numbers as they come around.
They're not moving too fast right now. Usually you see a good spurt from these guys. They're just kind of taking it easy, checking each other out.
The front row rather slow, and that enabled some teams from behind to come up. Here they come across the line the first time. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team number 2 in the lead.
This should be a team that'd be interesting to watch the entire race long, because SIGAPs traditionally haven't done well, but they've built a team up the last few years, and they qualified second. That's very impressive, but of course, this is the race that everybody looks for.
Now, Phi Delta Theta in the green jersey, team number 1 has taken the lead. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team number 2 in second place, and Pi Kappa Phi, team number 6, has moved up to 3.
You see there in the blue and the white, moving right up there to try to get up near the front.
There's the Cutters. They have the white jersey with the blue band around it, team number 13. They're in 5th place right now.
See, that's what I'm talking about there with the Cutters moving up to the front. Now, they were back in 13th place around some, you know, shaky teams, and you want to stay out of them. So immediately they move up to the front. They're with the good teams, so they can react to whatever they're going to do.
Down the back straightaway. We have completed 2 laps, and the pack still bunched together on the outside in the yellow jersey. That is Dodd's house.
I got to say, this is kind of moving pretty slow right now. Nobody really want to take the lead and just taking it easy. It kind of surprises me on a day like today with the winds kind of dying down a little bit.
Flag is still green. A crash on turn 3. There are 5 teams down. And the crash was in the back of the pack, so it did not affect any of the leaders. We're still under the green, though, as the track is being cleared.
Now you're going to see this early in the race. This is what eliminates a lot of the teams. The solid teams have been training all year with some of the teams that maybe don't have strong riders like some of these front runners here.
Team 31, Evan Scholars involved in that mishap. Team number 28, that is Wright Cycling. Team number 26, Delta Sigma Phi. So you can see it was all teams in the back of the initial pack. And now they're all trying to catch up. Also team 22, that is Alta, involved in that crash. So we're still under green, though. Team 19 has moved up into the lead. That is Sigma Alpha Epsilon. We knew they were a contender, and they've moved right up to the top.
Now here's somebody moving out a little bit. Is that he's going to check that replay out right now with the wreck and see how these teams got caught up in the back of the pack.
Watch the back of the pack. Here's the front. And right there. You see the rider in the green jersey goes down and takes out 4 other teams with him, all toward the back of the pack.
And that traditionally is a corner that causes a lot of wrecks just because your wheel can slip out from underneath of you. Looks like the inside took out the outside guy and caused a pile up.
All right, team number 9, Chi Phi, now in the lead. Team number 14, Lambda Chi Alpha in second place. Obviously, there's advantages to staying in the pack and drafting, Mike.
Definitely. I think you want to sit in the pack, but you want to stay up near the front, at least on the inside. You know, when we rode, a lot of the times in the year we won it, we said, stay on the inside, move up from the inside. That way you're doing a little less work than everybody else, and you can move up a lot easier from the inside than trying to go way to the outside. That's usually the big mistake people make.
We've completed 5 laps. Obviously, each team with a starting rider. How long do you want that first rider to go, Mike?
You know, anywhere between 10 to 15 laps is usually what you can do. If it's a fast pace, like right now, it's not very fast. So these guys can probably sit on the bike for like 20, 25 laps, it looks like. I mean, I think if I was on that bike, you'd flash to your pit. You're talking to your pit, communicating with them. Hey, I feel fine. I'm all right. I'm going to stay on the bike for a little bit.
And one of the things we'll watch in today's race, of course, the exchanges. A good exchange can keep you right near the front. A poor exchange can cost you positions.
Yeah, you can look right now. It looks like somebody might do an exchange right here. Who's in the... Trying to figure out who's in front right there. Is that Collins? Yeah, it's Collins. And Cutters are right behind. It looks like they're drafting off of him. Collins might see the Cutters going for an exchange here.
And they cross the start-finish line after 6 laps. Team number 16, Collins Cycling, in the lead. Team 13, the Cutters, they move around on the first turn.
See him pushing the pace a little bit there. I wonder if he's going to do it. Is the pit ready? Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's just kind of pushing the pace a little bit more. That's a good thing for the Cutters to do, especially because they've got 4 solid riders. They won the Team Pursuit event earlier in the series. Was that 2 weeks ago? And I think when you've got 4 solid riders like that, it doesn't hurt to push the pace. Keep your fresh guy in there, ready to go in the pit. Keep him fresh, and then, you know, use the 3 other guys to do some good laps for you.
There you see team number 12 taking a penalty. That's Delta Chi. They're in the penalty box for a short time, a 2-second stop. Now they're back out to racing, and of course the penalty really hurts the team. You see how they've fallen now a quarter lap behind the pack.
It just kills you. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. This becomes a very long afternoon. I know one year we got involved with one of our riders actually hit one of the television crews. And we were out of the race like at 60, just trying to catch up, and it just makes for a long afternoon.
So that puts Chi Phi in a position to try to catch the pack. Once you lose the pack, it's very difficult to try to get that back. Here comes team number 6, Pi Kappa Phi, with an exchange.
They're doing their penalty right now.
Jamie Bellinger will be on the bike. He's taking the penalty. And now you see him off and running there at the top of the screen. Jamie Bellinger on the bike. And now it's Delta Chi ready to make a change again. So I think what Delta Chi is trying to do is keep a fresh guy on the bike, Mike, and try to catch the pack.
Absolutely. That's the only thing you can do right now is to, lap sets. Just try to figure out what you can go out there and do. Because it's going to be 3 laps. Because when you get that exchange, you're losing time every single time. So when you got to decide, do I want to be out there for 5 laps? Or I want to be out there for 3 laps? And a lot of times it's just a losing cause.
This race is 50 miles. That's 200 laps around the quarter-mile track at Bill Armstrong Stadium. We have completed 10 laps of racing. Still very early in the race.
Yeah, not seeing much movement right now. It seems to be settling in. Keeping a tight pack, which is good.
Team number 20, Beta Theta Pi, in the lead, and they're ready for an exchange. They're on the back straightaway. This is team number 3, Phi Gamma Delta, as they ready for an exchange just in front of the start-finish line. And here comes the Phi Gamma Delta rider. That is John Cornelius, who started the race for Phi Gamma Delta. He's got a nice stretch here. Let's see if they can stay in the pack.
That's what you do. That's what you do. You got to make sure you tell your guys, get a good sprint out. If anything, it's a psychological edge for you.
And Phi Gamma Delta stays right at the lead, as you see.
You do it.
Sigma Phi Epsilon in second place. So a great exchange by Phi Gamma Delta as they hold the lead after the 11th lap.
Yeah, you save your guy from doing a lot of work when you do that. You bring it in from behind the pack, the guy's sitting there trying to catch up, and he wants to come off the bike real soon.
Delta Chi a backstretch away from gaining on the pack. They still have a ways to go, but a very key to watch. Delta Chi dominated this race in the late 70s, early 80s to see if they can maintain contact with the pack. There you see the leaders. Team 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon, moving out. They ready for an exchange. They are just across the start-finish line. as they get ready for an exchange. That's why the rider is out so fast. There you see his lead on Phi Gamma Delta.
Those guys trying to grab his wheel. It's like trying to keep him honest.
All right, let's go down the infield to Jody and an interview with IU President Miles Brandon.
Thanks, John. It is absolutely beautiful down here in the infield. It's a bright, beautiful, sunny day. I'm standing here with President Miles Brandon. My question is, there's so much tradition around here that sometimes, you know, it brings tears to your eyes. And as I heard the word from back home again in Indiana, it sends chills down my spine. How do you react to that?
The same as you. My knees buckle. It's just a wonderful feeling. Students are working so hard at this. They practice for it. It's a beautiful day. It's IU at its best.
Tell me about the significance of this race to Indiana University.
It's a tradition of students excelling. Students working together in teams and excelling, and that's the tradition. We were pleased about the film, Breaking Away, shows IU at its best, but it's really the students' day.
What will you personally take away with you today from this race?
Oh, it's the excitement, it's the fun, it's seeing everyone try so hard, it's the victories, but it's also the trying.
Thank you very much for speaking with me. That's President Miles Brand. Thank you very much. It's time now to go back to John in the press box.
Thanks, Jody. And several teams now have made exchanges from their top riders. Those top riders, Mike, went about 12 to 15 laps. Most teams have exchanged now. Sigma Nu, team number 7, has made their exchange. And team number 1.
Yeah, we saw Delta Tau Delta just getting the wreck, too, just off the pace. They got a pretty good rider, too, in Steve McLennan.
As the pack races around the first turn, we've completed 15 laps of the race now. And there is our leader, team number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon. On the bike for Sigma Phi Epsilon, Jeff Tackberry. He is in the lead now, being passed.
Yeah, Jet Tackberry, the coolest name in the race, Jet. It's a good biking name, huh?
As they come across the start-finish line, this will be the completion of lap 16. Team number 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, in the lead.
Yep, that's
team 18 in second place, Acacia. We talked about that row and how powerful they could be.
Matt Burns, Matt Delk, the 2 riders, you know, and the big question is, can these guys sustain the endurance? You know, it takes endurance for this race, not just the sprinting. Maybe it's their year.
Fratello, team number 10, pulls out ahead, and they're ready to make an exchange just before the start-finish line. There you see it. There's Delta Chi, team 12, with their exchange.
Yeah, they're going to get lapped up here in a second.
Fratello makes the change right there in front of Chappie Blackwell. He motions them back to the pack. Good exchange for Team 10 Fratello as they stay with the pack. Jeremy Beeler on the bike for Fratello. Now here's a breakout. 2 teams going down the backstretch, both in fact ready to make an exchange. Side by side, that's Team Dotson, team number 5. And I'll have to check that other team that made the exchange. That's Team 15, Theta Chi, made the exchange down the back straightaway. As they come across the start-finish line.
We've got Acacia right there in front right now.
Team 18, Acacia. Team 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Team 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon.
And that's what we were talking about before with the Acacia team. Could they get their star rider, Kurt Gensheimer, the best rider in this race, to the finish, give him an opportunity to win? Last year he rode 130 laps. He's too tired at the finish.
130 laps, unbelievable.
130 laps.
A long time.
You know, and hopefully he learns from that. You want to stay off the bike. A lot of the veteran riders have a real tendency to say, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to ride a majority of the laps. But the key thing is to have a coach or have somebody say, hey, we're going to preserve you. So by the time he gets on that bike at the end, he's so hungry he wants it.
Exchange down the front straightaway. That's Chi Phi, team number 9, coming on the outside. They move to the back of the pack. And now a sprint out, team number 22. That's, let me check that, team 20.
Team 20.
Team 20, Beta Theta Pi, ready to make their exchange. They are at the top of the race. Tough exchange. You saw him mishandle the bike there, and he's going to end up in the back of the pack as he rounds turn 3.
He'll just hop in the back there and just kind of move on up.
How do you like the speed so far? Has it picked up from the beginning of the race?
You know, for a while there when they did their exchanges, it looked like they, the cutters started setting the pace a little bit faster, and then they kind of fell back. Looks like everybody's just kind of settling in.
We've completed 20 laps now. Unofficially, Sigma Phi Epsilon in first place, Sigma Alpha Epsilon in second, Phi Kappa Psi in third, Acacia in fourth, Phi Gamma Delta in fifth, Team Dotson is in sixth, Sigma Nu is in seventh, Sigma Chi in eighth, Cutters in nine, and Phi Delta Theta, the pole setter, rounds out the top 10. All still on the same lap, though, on the lead lap.
Now, most of the guys are going to have their lap guys on here right now, just getting a breather, getting some laps in, getting loose. Probably, you know, in about lap 35, 40, get your next rider on there. Give everybody a little chance to loosen up their legs.
There's the lead, team number 8. That's Dodd's House. They move up to take the lead.
That's last year's winner.
There
He rode
you
a
see
phenomenal
the
race.
standings after 20 laps. SAE in the lead. SIGEP, I'm sorry, in the lead. SAE in second place. The Phi Psi's in third place. And
No
here
real
comes
surprise.
an exchange. This is Dodd's House, team number 8, last year's winner. They sprint out to try to give their rider the best chance to stay with the pack. Good exchange there. He falls to the back of the pack, but should be able to get back to the front shortly.
Yeah, the only problem with Dodge is they lost a lot of riders last year. Only have one guy with any experience, Alex Simon.
And they come down the back stretch. Team 13, that's the Cutters, with an exchange. They are in the last pit.
Help thousands of people start successful, prosperous businesses of their own. So stick around. I think you're going to be very impressed with what you see.
It's a bike exchange. Does it take a little longer for a bike exchange as opposed to...
Yeah, you want to make sure, because you pretty much have to come to a full stop. The main thing in this, too, and the judges are watching, you can get a penalty if you exceed your boundaries. They'll give you a little leeway on each side, but there's markers down there that say, hey, you can't go over certain feet and impede other riders next to you, other teams that are doing exchanges as well.
There's Phi Kappa Psi in the blue. They make the tag. The bike is exchanged as well. And they stay right at the front. Excellent job by Phi Kappa Psi as they're able to keep the lead on a bike exchange.
That's the way you want to do it every single time.
They finished 11th last year. They are number 2, though, in the overall standings. A very successful team in the history of this bicycle race.
Oh, they've dominated. Not recently, though, I should say.
We have now completed 25 laps. Phi Kappa Psi in the lead, Chi Phi in second. Acacia has moved all the way up from 18th to third place. Sigma Phi Epsilon in fourth place.
I think everybody's getting their third rider on the bike right now.
10 exchanges are required over the course of the race. All right, let's go down to the infield to Jody Zink with some other bike riders from Breaking Away.
Thanks, John. I've just made some new friends from the movie Breaking Away, and standing with me is Dennis Christopher and Eddie Van Geist from the movie. Now, tell me, do you bike on a regular basis?
Only for fun, not like this at all.
So how long have you been in Bloomington?
Since Thursday.
Thursday. How have you been spending your time here?
Meeting a lot of people, seeing the ladies race yesterday, the men's race today, and just meeting a lot of people and catching up with the old people that I knew from before, and just having a really great time. This is a hot weekend.
What do you...
Great time to be in Bloomington.
It sure is. Now, what do you remember from filming the movie?
Very little. No. I remember that it was one of the greatest things in my life. I mean, I had a great time. It was a lot of hard work, and I really came to respect the sport of bike racing, because who knew how hard it was until you find yourself up on those things trying to win the race.
Who are you rooting for here today?
Oh, I'm hoping there's not any major spills is what I'm really hoping for. I mean, Cutters will always have a big place in my heart, but I'm just hoping there's no spills. No bad ones.
We always hope for that. Now, standing on the other side of me is Eddie Van Geist. Now, explain to the audience what role you played in the movie.
I was the villain Italian cyclist, but actually I'm a Belgian-American boy, born in Belgium and raised in the United States and proud to be an American citizen. But the most commonly asked question, Jody, I'm asked, and I want Super Sub Laskowski to hear this, is people go, what did you say when you bent the elbow? It is filare. But don't go singing. It's not the song. Don't start singing filare. Whoa, that's volare. Don't ever do that. You'll get into trouble.
On that note, I think we better go back to John in the press box.
Jody, and I think you can see why Eddie Van Geist got a part in that movie. He was a bike rider here at IU as a student. He went on to acting in Chicago area. He auditioned for that part. He was a natural to be the bad guy on the Cesano bike team.
I think Eddie's been hanging out at Nick's for a little while this afternoon.
He's a great guy. It's great to have him back. And Dennis Christopher, of course, the star of that movie. And who could forget what a great job he did.
Looks like he can still ride, Dennis.
And he told us last night at the premiere of the movie that the bicycle he rode in the movie he has hung up on the wall in his Los Angeles home as a constant reminder 20 years ago of what this race and this movie meant to him. Dennis Christopher, the star of Breaking Away.
He's still acting, right?
Still in the acting business and very successfully. Robin Douglas, the co-star, his girlfriend in the movie, also here for the weekend, is now out of the acting business, but good to see both of them back. We are back to racing. We have completed 31 laps of the 1999 Little 500. Phi Delta Theta is in the lead. Phi Gamma Delta in second. Phi Kappa Psi in third. SAE, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, has moved all the way up to fourth. Beta Theta Pi is fifth, and Sigma Chi is sixth. So that whole row of six, the row 6 has moved up to 4th, 5th, and 6th place. We knew that was a strong row way back there.
Everybody looks good right now. I mean, you can see a lot of the teams doing exchanges. I just saw Phi Delta team number 1 in the green jersey come in for exchange. Their riders back on the bike. Everybody's kind of just settling in right now, getting everybody's, some laps on the bike.
Team 19, SAE, makes an exchange, so they move to the back of the pack. There they are. You saw them in the yellow and purple jersey. Now we're at the front of the pack. Team number 1, Phi Delta Theta, passed by Dodd's House as they ready for an exchange. They will come across the start-finish line and try to make that successful exchange.
And I think we've seen Collins there coming up, keeping them honest.
Team 16, Collins Cycling, also readying for the exchange. Here we are on the back stretch. There's Team 16, Collins. They make the exchange and move back to the pack. Here's Dodd's House. Off on the right side, on the left side, and back to racing.
There you see the yellow jersey, which goes to last year's winner.
Brian Martino now on the bike for Dodd's House. It had been since the early 50s that a residence hall had won the race till last year when Dodd's House won it from the pole. There you see some of the colorful fans as they support their teams. That blue and white group, I believe, is Alpha Chi Sigma and their followers.
They got a great day to come out here and watch the race.
Sunny, a little cool though. High of 60 expected today. Slight breeze, which will be a little headwind into the back straightaway, in the front straightaway.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for better conditions today.
Track is in good shape. As the leaders round the third turn, we are on lap 34.
There you see Sigma Phi Epsilon right up in front. Phi Gams, Fijis. And it looks like Sig Ep's coming in for an exchange right now.
There you see team number 2. They make the exchange.
Now check out Phi Gams. The Fijis just bolted out there. Nobody's even paying attention to them.
Quarter lap, the white jerseys. Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3.
Oh!
He goes down.
He was
too fast
himself.
on the corner. That was the leader. Phi Gamma Delta on the bike for Phi Gamma Delta. Sam Horton is down. He's back up.
Uh-oh, he looks like he has some bike problems right now.
The pack goes around him.
Oh, he better get his butt in
and he's
gear
got to
there.
come all the way around to the front straightaway in order to make the exchange.
Oh, he's hurting bad. He's hurting bad.
He's back on the bike. It looks like the bike is operating, probably not at top speed.
No, they better come around here quick. Looks like the pack is not even recognizing it.
He's able to get around. He's a quarter lap behind. Now a crash right in front of the start-finish line. Team number 15. That is Theta Chi that goes down. Here comes the change, the bike exchange. Phi Gamma Delta. They are now a quarter lap behind.
Now that was a real mess right there because Fiji had everyone caught off guard. Nobody was really paying attention to him, and he looked like he was coming in for an exchange. It just took off. And I think what they were going to try to do is try to lap the pack, it looked like. And he was just by himself going around that turn and wiped out.
John Cornelius now on the bike for Phi Gamma Delta. A quarter left behind. He'll try to reach back to get in with the pack. In today's 49th running of the men's Little 500, we remember the man who brought the race to its height, Bill Armstrong. He was 80 years old when he passed away last summer. Here's Jody Zink with a look at his legacy.
Indiana University had yet to reach its peak when Bill Armstrong was a student here in the late 1930s. Known as one of the university's biggest fans, he will not be joining us for this year's race, the first race he's missed since it began in 1951.
When he was president of the foundation, the Little 500 was his life. It was so important. He was so instrumental in making the Little 500 what it is today. And it's going to be hard. It's definitely going to be really hard to be out there and not have him out there.
He touched our hearts, and he'd go out of his way to do it.
He would just always, find a way to say hello, write a note, throw in a phone call. He usually wouldn't throw in a phone call if things were going good. That was kind of taken, that was kind of assumed. But if he felt like you were struggling, he felt like you needed a pat on the back or somebody to cheer you up, that's when you usually got a phone call or a letter from Bill Armstrong.
If I thought about how Bill would want to be remembered, it would be look you in the eye and say, I'm your friend. I'll be your friend. If there's anything I can do for you, let me do it.
A man so full of life, he brought out the best in all of us, gracing us with his wisdom and sense of humor.
He had those bicycle pants that he wore at the race, and I think he just thought they were so funny. That's why he liked them so much, and he just had a great sense of humor.
Bill Armstrong is the godfather of and the guardian of IU soccer. Back in the early 70s, when we were striving for varsity status, I became very frustrated at times, almost left IU, and Bill Armstrong was there to keep encouraging me. He was sort of like an associate assistant coach and always a big brother to me. This year, after Army's passing, the team, and I didn't bring this up to the team, the players said, we've got to do something. And they suggested an armband, a patch, something, and we had sewn on every sleeve of every uniform a black patch with white lettering Army on it, and we dedicated the season to Army.
He was one of IU's great luminaries, confiding in people like Howdy Wilcox and Chancellor Herman Wells, a friend to IU athletics and anyone he met. He never forgot a face.
My mom always said that he could meet someone in 5 minutes, he'd have a new best friend. So he just loved people so much.
He got to know all the players, and like no different than anyone else, he knew our players by name, first name. He came by our staff meetings, and it was really just a thrill to have him around the football program. The spirit of Indiana.
I felt that, Army was with us all along, and in that championship game, in the Final Four, we played our best soccer of the season, and with about a minute to go, we're winning 3-1. I don't know why. Army came to my mind. I was supposed to be coaching my team, and thinking of my team, and all of a sudden, I just sat down and on the bench, and I thanked him. We had our conversation at that point. He was with us as we won that championship.
We'll continue to salute him at his stadium for years to come.
That stadium wouldn't have been there. Our soccer Little 500 stadium, now the Bill Armstrong Stadium, is rightfully named because Bill is the one who raised the money. When Bill wanted this stadium, the old stadium was no longer there. We had to have something new for the Little Five. Soccer didn't have an appropriate place to play. Army said, I'm gonna get this done. And he went out and he raised the money.
Indiana meant everything to Bill Armstrong. And now you realize, and this is a guy that's from Owensboro, Kentucky, that Indiana meant everything for him, and I think what people say is accurate.
His contribution to our university and our hearts will not be forgotten. Life is truly richer for those who knew and remember Bill Armstrong.
In closing, I'm going to say to all of you, I'm a happy fellow. I've never been happier in my life to be around here. And I end it by saying, as Vern Huffman would say, hail to old IU and bless all of you.
Bill Armstrong remembered significantly here today. The flag there just below the American flag is the Bill Armstrong flag in commemoration of the first race he's missed since 1951. This stadium, of course, named after Bill Armstrong, and Mike, you and I both Sigma News, and Bill Armstrong had a great affinity to the Sigma Nu fraternity as well.
He did, and it was great with the year we won it in 1990 to be up there and to have him present the trophy to us, his own trophy. It was just an amazing day, and still has that picture framed. He had it framed above his office there, right above his desk. He's a great man, and every year I came back here and he was like, "How you doing, man?"
Never to be forgotten, Bill Armstrong. How you doing, Putna?
Always doing.
That was his favorite thing. He's a great man, Bill Armstrong. Always remembered here at Indiana University. We are back to racing. We have completed 50 laps, and as expected, the Phi Gamma Delta team has moved to the pack, in fact, taking the lead after 50 laps. So that mishap, the wreck all by themselves, they're able to recover. 14 teams now still on the lead lap in this race. And as you mentioned, Mike, once you get behind the lap, very impossible to really catch back up.
It pretty much is impossible. I've only seen one team actually break away from the pack, and I think that was back in, when did the Cutters win it? Back in 1992, and I had Dimitri Hubbard and a couple riders from Acacia and Michael Lance. They broke away from the pack, 3 guys, and they actually lapped the pack, and those 3 teams end up winning the race. But you know, if you're by yourself, and especially when you're back here, all the good teams are up front, so those are the ones you want, to pull you around and try to get you back in the race.
And there you see the leaders. They crossed the start-finish line. They've completed 54 laps of this race. We're 1/4 of the way through the race. Again, Mike, this part of the race really to set the stage, avoid the accidents, building up to that finish, the last 15, 12 laps, something like that.
Yeah, now this is the thing you want to be really concerned about is they're going to start lapping these slower teams right here, and it's going to bunch up the pack, and that's probably when you'll see another wreck, so you want to be really careful to make sure you are around teams that are on the same lap as you.
Now, as we approach this passing, we watch now team number 4 ready to come in for the exchange. Phi Kappa Psi, Buzz Miller, ready to get on the bike. The slower teams that are about to pass the pack, they move to the outside, let the pack come through?
Yeah, they're supposed to move to the outside. Sometimes they don't. I know that back in 93, I was with 3 laps to go and waiting for my sprint. Somebody came up that was 2 laps down and clipped my wheel from behind me. That was all she wrote.
Team number 5, Team Datsun, with an exchange. They've taken the lead as they ready for this exchange. There's the bike tag, and new rider and new bike for Team Datsun.
They're riding a good race.
They are riding it for not having the experience of ridden in the race before. The IU swimmers doing a nice job. This is the front straightaway. Chappie Blackwell motioning to some of the slower riders.
You know, this race, and obviously you know this well back in the days, but it was always the athletes that rode this race. The basketball players. I know our athletic director, Clarence Doninger, rode for the Sigma Nu team many years ago. Back in the 50s,
right?
So, if you're a good athlete, you can do well in this race. It's a flat course. It's a quarter-mile track. You know how to ride in the pack. It's not that hard. You don't necessarily have to be a world-class cyclist. It helps.
And the excitement is surely here with the fans and their colors. Look at the colors of those bike teams. It just makes for a fascinating event.
Yeah, look at that blue skies. I mean, you got a beautiful day to race.
Early spring here in Blooming. You can see the trees in the background there. Beautiful day for racing. Still a long way from determining who this 1999 winner will be. There's a breakout by Sigma Alpha Epsilon. Here's our leaders after 55 laps. Phi Gamma Delta first. Dodds House, defending champ, is second. The Cutters, Acacia, and Sigma Alpha Epsilon all bunched up.
Now there you see Jason Weir coming in for SAEs.
Here he comes, Jason coming in for the exchange, just in front of the end of turn 4. Off on the right, and SAE back in the race.
Just take your time when you get a nice little exchange like that, I guess, huh?
Yeah, knowing a new rider will get right back to the front of the pack.
You're going to get a lot of slow laps there now, you know. some guys just settling in. You know that you've eliminated a lot of the teams that perhaps weren't going to be there at the end, so you've got 14 teams on the lead lap. Just relax and content yourself with those guys.
Pack's thinned out now. There has been a wreck. The green is still out.
Here you see the wreck right here. Somebody trying to come out.
Turn 2, and they go down. And that's some of your leaders. Team 3, Phi Gamma Delta, involved in that wreck. There you see the Phi Gamma Delta rider scrambling for the bike. Also Delta Chi, team number 12.
And Fiji's now about a half lap down.
They are a half lap down. That's the back straightaway. So again, Phi Gamma Delta trying furiously to get back into the lead pack.
Also in that wreck as well, team number 7.
Team 7. Sigma Nu has fallen back. Sigma Nu about 3/4 of a lap behind.
Phi Psi's are also. Here
comes the Phi Psi exchange right across the front straightaway. Buzz Miller on the bike now. And also a bike is dropped right past the start-finish line. There's Phi Psi. And Buzz Miller trying to move right back to the front of the pack. The leaders are down the back stretch. And there are your leaders. Let's take another look at one of the accidents earlier in the race. Here he come down the front straightaway, and there you see one rider head over heels, and looks like he got his leg run over there, but no one else went down, just one rider in that accident.
That's why you want to stay up front right now.
Team number 6, Phi Kappa Phi, a 10-second penalty will be imposed. They'll have to come to the penalty area for a 10-second impeding penalty. Exchange on the back straightaway. That is team number 15, Theta Chi. Theta Chi, one of the leaders on the lead lap. Team number 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, takes the lead. We have now completed 62 laps of this little 500. And there is your leaders. Team number 1, Phi Delta Theta. Exchange in the pit by Phi Gamma Delta. As they try furiously, they are now a half a lap behind that lead pack, trying to avoid being lapped. They've already been able to come from behind once, Phi Gamma Delta has. Will they be able to do it again?
Yes, you saw 2 teams get knocked out there. Now there's 12 teams on the lead lap. Sigma Nu knocked out along with Fiji's. Hopefully they'll be able to try to get back in here. You're going to see them start working with that team over there, but they're a good half a lap down. It's a hard gap to bridge.
And now another crash in turn 2, very severe. 5 teams down on turn 2. Phi Kappa Psi is down.
They're calling for a bike. That could pull them out of the race right now. He's calling for a bike. He's not going to get one.
And they bring the bike over from the front straightaway. When you have a crash like that, your bike inoperable, you must bring the spare bike over to the place you wrecked and take off again from there. There you see the bike being brought over. Now Phi Kappa Psi has it.
They're going yellow right now. They're going to slow the pack down.
We are in yellow. One of the rules to watch on the yellow, Mike, is you're not allowed to increase the distance in front of to try to catch the pack.
Yeah, I remember Sigma Chi, I think it was back in 1993. They were down about what Phi Psi is right now, and when it went to yellow, they decided they were going to speed up and catch the pack. They bridged the gap a little bit, got a 26-second penalty.
You're not allowed to do that, obviously. Very difficult, though, to judge that. The lead pack could be all the way across the race course, and how can you determine what the yellow flag speed is?
They'll tell you the marshals on the field will tell you slow down. You know, the chief steward will be talking to them.
All right, let's go down to Jody Zink. She's got a special guest, Mike Foote from the IU Student Foundation.
Thank you. I'm standing down here with Mike Foote, who is the assistant director of the Indiana University Student Foundation. There's a lot of organization that goes into this. Give me an idea of the scope of organization that goes into this.
Well, it's really a year-round thing, and it's made possible by the student volunteers. As an advisor, that's really what I do to the students. Each year a new crop comes in, and they get the experience putting on the event. And we really start pretty much on Monday with planning, trying to dissect what happened this weekend and plan for next year. So it's really a year-round thing.
type of recruiting campaign that you put together to sort of help encourage the formation of teams. Is that right? What do you do for that?
Well, there's a lot of things. That's really made possible by the Riders Council, which are riders here in the Little 500. They go out and try to recruit people to do the race. They go out and really spread the word as to how you can get involved more than anything, because it is a big university. It's hard to really figure out how to get involved with things. So they just go around to the residence halls off campus, and a few of the Greek houses don't have teams, just to tell them how to do it.
What's the biggest challenge of this race and putting it together?
Well, it's probably got to be that each year there's a lot of turnover. We have a new crop of students that come in each year, which is great because they all get a lot of experience, but also it means that you have to start over without any collective experience, and that's really the hardest thing for me to do. I guess it's probably like a lot like being a teacher, where you have to teach some new students each year.
Got it. Now, you were also a rider in this race a few years ago.
Right.
Talk about that and how this is relating. As you're watching your old brothers here race, how do you feel? What's going through your head?
Well, this is my 4th year that I've been out, so I know my first couple of years that I was watching the race from the infield instead of from the pits. It was pretty tough because it's really a great experience. I mean, it defined my life, and I know a lot of other people feel the same way. So, but from this end, it's really neat to see the other end, too, and you can only ride so many years, so I guess I'm just thankful that I'm organizing it now.
Thanks. That was Mike Foote, the Assistant Director for the Student Foundation. It's time now to go back to John in the press box.
Thanks, Jody. I've been working with Mike all month, and I've never seen him in a coat and tie. He looks really good. He's usually got his rain gear on, and he's battling the elements. He cleans up pretty good. Mike Foote's done a great job to keep this race going. He in fact, found a way to get those flags on his tie. I was
going to say, I think you can adjust the color at home on your television set for his tie.
Mike Foote does a great job here. We are on lap 99. So one more lap will be halfway home, and we're going to give you the leaders of each of the divisions as we complete half this race. In the Residence Hall division, the Dodds House in the lead, team number 8. In the Independent division, the Cutters, team 13, has the lead. In the Crimson division, team number 1, Phi Delta Theta in the lead. And in the Cream division, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, team 19 in the lead. Still a long way to go, 100 laps. But those are your leaders in each of the divisions as they cross the start-finish line. Right there, you see Sigma Alpha Epsilon, team 19, will have the lead after 100 laps.
Riding a solid race like they always do, always up there in the top 5.
How now that we're halfway, Mike, how soon do teams start preparing their final strategy? Who's going to be on the bike? How many laps are you going to ride?
Yeah, I think it depends on the strength of your team. You know, if you've got a team like Acacia, you know, and you have somebody like Kurt Gensheimer, my philosophy would be this is the strongest rider in the race. Keep him off as much as you can. Maybe get him on a lap 135, lap 150, get his legs a little loose so that you can get him back in the pit and prepare him for that final sprint. Only use him when you really need to use him. As far as the other teams go, like the Cutters, they've been doing exchanges, having their guys been on there for 15 to 20 lap sets. This is a good time to get your guys on there in the middle of the race that are going to give you the good laps and prepare your sprinter.
Good exchanges there. You saw Team 8, Dodds House, and Team number 1, Phi Delta Theta, exchange right next to each other and stay right with the leaders. Good job by those two teams. There you see the team number 10, Fratello, just off the bike. Do you rest right away when you get off the bike, or do you get on the practice bike and keep your legs going?
I think it depends. If you're exhausted, you just sit there, grab a little water. You know, people have Gatorade and bananas in the pit.
There we see some coaching going on there, too. How important are the coaches during the race?
Well, you know, when you come into this race, you usually map out the way you would ideally like it to go. It never works that way. You have to adapt it during the race, and that's so important to have a coach because he's going to sit there. You just worry about riding. The riders worry about riding. The coach, in any sport, worries about coaching. So he says, hey, you know, Cutters are doing a little sprint out. Make sure you keep them honest and keep on their wheel, and so-and-so's on the bike. And so that just allows you to really relax and just concentrate.
Here are the leaders after 100 laps. Sigma Alpha Epsilon, first place. And they started out, team number 19. They started 19th position. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team 2. They are second. Dodds House, team number 8. In third place, Chi Phi, team number 9. They're in fourth place. And Phi Delta Theta, they were the pole sitter, team number 1. They are in fifth place.
Tell you what, I'm really impressed with Dodds House and Chi Phi right now. Those two teams that I think got overlooked by a lot of people, although a lot of people knew they had a solid team. But Dodds House, you know, one guy returning from last year, so, you know, you kind of take them out of the contention. Maybe you don't think they're going to be all that good, but hey, give yourself an opportunity to win, which is what they're doing.
They finished fifth in the team pursuit, so that's pretty strong. Knew they had some good riders. There's the practice area for Sigma Phi Epsilon. Team number 27, Kappa Sigma with an exchange. They're in the green jersey, the red stripe. And our leaders again. Number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Number 8, Dodds House. Number 13, the Cutters. Number 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. See Sigma Phi Epsilon, number 2. He looks over his shoulder. And then the Cutters go by.
I think it's got to be really hot wearing that black out there today.
Cracks that sun. Still gentle conditions, though. Gentle breeze from the east-northeast. Bright sunshine.
You couldn't order better weather.
And relaxing in the pit, that's Phi Delta Theta.
You see the mechanics out there fixing all the torn up bikes.
Now a big pack of riders around turn 1. The yellow flag is out. I can't see any bikes. Now green again. A very short yellow flag. Out for a short time, and now back to racing. Phi Gamma Delta still a third of a lap behind in their pursuit to get back to the main pack.
We were talking about the strategy early on, how you map it out. I would say these teams right now.
There you see a rider just off the bike. He is the one that caused the yellow flag, and that is Team 33, Alpha Sigma Phi. And you can see he's in pain. There is a medical facility here, though. It's a tent and some emergency technicians here that will take care of any rider who sustains an injury in today's race. Not a good place to be, obviously, Mike, but at least to know that they'll be looked at right away.
It's part of what this race wrecks every year. Thankfully, though, you don't get a lot of serious injuries. Tell you what, though, you get some cinders for life, though.
A permanent trophy from the little 500, huh?
That's right. We'll look at that and you get a little nostalgia.
Well, as you can see with the whole concept of the movie, and a lot of these coaches are former riders, the spirit of the race gets instilled in you. You want to come back and still be a part of it.
Yeah, it's so unique. You know, I think that's the reason in I-Road I actually came here and ran the first year. And you see the Alpha Sigma Phi rider being carted off, taken to get treated.
Under his own power, and he'll be going to the emergency tent. There's Team 28. That's Wright Cycling on the exchange.
So like I was saying, I came down here, you know, the first year, and I never heard of Little 500 coming from Buffalo, New York. And you walk in the stadium, you see all these people fired up, rooting for their teams. Can't help but get caught up in it yourself.
Team number 5, that's Team Dotson in the red. They're a lap behind, so their only hope would be to somehow gain that lap on the lead. They're going for an exchange. That's why you saw Team Dotson out there in the red. Team number 16, Collins Cycling, makes the exchange. They're trying to catch Dodds House in the residence hall division. There's the exchange by Team Dotson. The pack goes back around them, so Team Dotson's still a lap behind. 120 laps now complete, 80 laps to go. So we are approaching strategy time, deciding who the last rider might be.
And some Sig F's out for a bike exchange.
Sigma Phi Epsilon ready for their bike exchange. They've moved out on the pack. Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3, chasing after them. There you see both teams ready to exchange. In the black, Team 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Team 3, Phi Gamma Delta. Sam Horton will be taking the bike for Phi Gamma Delta. There's Sigma Phi Epsilon, team number 2. Let's see this exchange. They'll do it almost simultaneously. A few pits away, Phi Gamma Delta like their exchange. And they will lead right back into the pack. Sigma Phi Epsilon first, Phi Gamma Delta second.
Hey, Sig F's have had great sprint outs all day long every time they come in and do a bike exchange.
Dodds House also right near the front of that pack. That's Acacia, Team 18, moving out for an exchange.
The team we were looking at earlier.
And
it's like Kurt Gensheimer on the bike.
Gensheimer, a very strong rider. They are 1 lap down. Acacia 1 lap down. An exchange by Acacia right there. And the reason they went out there, Brian Becker now on the bike for Acacia. So it looks like an 8-team race right now. 8 teams on the lead lap. And there's 120 laps. Sigma Alpha Epsilon in first place. That's team number 19. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team 2 in second place. Phi Gamma Delta's caught the pack. Team number 3 in third place. Chi Phi, excellent job. They are in fourth place, team number 9. And team number 8, or actually team number 1, Phi Delta Theta, in fifth place.
I bet a lot of guys right now are very happy that Gensheimer from Acacia is a lap down.
Cutter still involved in the top 8, as well as Theta Chi. And the Cutters, Acacia, is 1 lap down.
This goes to show you, you can have the best rider in the race, but if you don't have a solid team, you're nothing in this race.
The leaders are coming around the third turn. They will complete lap 124. And Sigma Alpha Epsilon, team 19 crosses. There's team 8, Dodds House. That's team 21, Sigma Chi. Now the pack beginning to thin there. You see some of the slower riders on top.
Yeah,
there's Sigma Chi.
Here comes SAE. They're coming in for a bike exchange. Jason Weir on the bike.
Here's one of your leaders, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. He's out to a nice lead as he gets ready for this exchange.
Yeah, when he comes around that turn, he wants to make sure he has a good lead.
Roger Nurenburn on the bike now for SAE. A little slow getting started, but with a big lead, he'll be able to stay with that lead pack. Phi Delta Theta on the outside in the green jersey, followed by the Cutters. There you see Chi Phi now in the lead, team number 9.
Riding a solid race.
Very solid for Chi Phi. They finished 14th last year.
That's Bob Melanowski on the bike right now.
Team 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon in the lead.
They just came in for an exchange, so I'm wondering what they're doing here.
They did. Only 2 laps for this rider, Roger Nurenburn.
Maybe they're trying to throw a little strategy in here and try to go after lapping the pack or building a little lead up.
Still 75 laps to go in this race, so let's see what's up with Sigma Alpha Epsilon. They've been a leader all race.
Yeah, I think he's just going to fall back in the pack. He doesn't have any legs to do that. There you go. Phi Delta coming up to keep him honest. Yeah, they are. He's kind of motoring a little bit.
Sigma Alpha Epsilon, they cross the start-finish line.
Well, he's going to come in for an exchange after this. I see a rider getting up.
And there's Sigma Phi Epsilon in second. So there's some strategy there. Only about 3 laps for Roger Nurenburn.
And actually, that's Phi Delta there, surpassing SAE. And SAE is actually coming in for a bike exchange. So is Phi Delta.
Phi Delta Theta raised for an exchange as well. Here are the standings after 125 laps. Chi Phi, excellent job. Team number 9 with the lead. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team number 2 in second. Team number 8, Dodds House, is in third. Team number Theta Chi is team 15. They are in fourth place. And Phi Delta Theta, team number 1 in fifth place. Theta Chi on the lead lap. Haven't talked about them much.
No.
Team 15, they've done an excellent job to stay up there. Their best finish ever was third back in 1971. They were 7th in 1992. They did not finish last year's race.
No, they've got a good rider in Matt Fire and Todd Smith.
There's the bike for Team 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. Get a little work done to it. Here's an exchange. Team number 9, Chi Phi, one of our leaders. They make the exchange. John Emmetsberger now on the bike for Team 9, Chi Phi. That's Team 3, Phi Gamma Delta. Got some black marks on that white jersey. Obviously, this rider involved in an accident. Back up and raring to go as Phi Gamma Delta takes the lead. We are just completing lap 29. Let's go back to the infield for a report from Jody Zink.
Hi, I'm down here on the infield with with some representatives from the Student Foundation, Megan McIntyre and Heather Anderson. Tell me some of the responsibilities that you have as part of this race.
Well, as the Assistant Director of the IU Student Foundation, I advise the students who actually put on this race. And some of the committees that I've advised this semester are the Alumni Affairs Committee that's responsible for bringing a lot of the alumni back, and we put on an alumni barbecue before the men's race. And the pre-race committee, which the pre-race committee does all the decorations. They put up the flags, the pit boards, all the decorations, the infield logo. And I've also advised the Little 5 Special Events Committee that's done a few events for some of our members. We have over 400 members at the Student Foundation, so they kind of help keep track of our members.
Lots of organization here. Now, sitting on this side of me, I have Megan McIntyre. Now, I know that you're a volunteer, and every time I see Megan running around, she's always helping everyone out. Great big smile on her face all the time. Tell me some of the things that you're responsible for.
Well, I'm on the Little 5 Cycling Committee, so our responsibilities entail all aspects of the riders and being at the track. So I'm always trying to help the riders. They have questions. A lot of the rookies on the track aren't exactly sure what goes on a lot of the times. And we also organize 3 different series events throughout the Little 5 season, and that's Missing Out, Team Pursuit, and also individual time trials. And so I've been helpful in putting those events together. I really like my job because you get to see the teams progress throughout the season. You see teams that aren't very good necessarily at the beginning, and then they grow and they do better as teams. They get to know each other better. It's a lot of fun.
What will you personally take away from this experience?
Oh, I've just learned so much in all aspects. I've learned so much about riding, so much about what the riders go through, and they have so much discipline, so much hard work goes into this, and you don't really get a feel for that until you see them out here practicing every single day. Not only that, but just tons of leadership skills. I'm working with 29 other amazing individuals on steering committee. We just have so much fun, and every single aspect of the race couldn't be done without the other. So I'm in charge of the riders, but somebody else is in charge of pre-race, and somebody else is in charge of the golf jam. All of those things come together to make it a good weekend.
Well, thank you very much. There's definitely lots of organization. We have this all the time we have down here. It's time now to go back to John in the press box.
Thanks, Jody. And team number 8, Dodds House, has moved out by about a quarter lap here. Here you see him come around the 4th turn. This will be completing lap 134. The rider for Dodds House, David Warren.
I think he's just kind of hanging out there right now.
Just testing the water maybe, huh?
Yeah. No need to slow up for the rest of the pack.
And the pack, again, quite large, forming about a quarter lap behind. And again, as you mentioned, that's where the accidents can happen.
Yeah, you want to be careful right now, especially with the pack. You get that accordion effect, so to speak. Somebody comes up to the back, the front of the pack slows down, and that's when you start seeing a lot of wrecks.
Exchanges on the back straightaway. Here are your leaders. They come around turn 3. Still a big lead by Dodds House. Team number 8, they cross the start-finish line. Team 1, Phi Delta Theta on the exchange.
Good exchange.
Bike exchange it will be. They'll stay near the leaders. Chi-Phi, team number 9, now out in the lead. Team 13, the Cutters, right behind him.
Actually, Dodds House right now is way up in front.
Sorry, Dodds House still way ahead. They have not signaled their rider for an exchange. So
yeah, he's got kind of a lead. If we can get the shot of the yellow jersey there, you can see Dodds House kind of sitting up in front. The rest of the pack not really recognizing that.
He does not. He does motion over to his pit. Maybe some kind of signal how many more laps he wants to go.
I'll tell you, if the rest of the pack here doesn't pay attention to him, they may just sneak off.
There you see it after 135 laps. That last burst by defending champion Dodds House has gotten them a lead, about a 5-second lead.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a shot of how big that lead is.
Theta Chi in 2nd place, Chi-Phi in 3rd place. Phi Gamma Deltas, team number 3, has moved up all the way to 4th. And Phi Delta Theta, your pole setter, now in 5th place.
And that's actually Acacia coming in for a bike exchange.
That's Acacia, team number 18. Dodds. There's the Dodds House rider looking ready for an exchange. Dodds House, quarter of a lap ahead, but still a long way to go.
We are to see the lap right here, how big of a lead he has. Look at the pack. Just
there you see the yellow jersey. That's Dodds House.
It's almost got a straightaway lead.
And there's the pack on the right part of your screen. There's the lead. And that is a huge lead in bike racing. The question is he able to keep it for over 60 more laps?
Yeah, but he's not grabbing a wheel or anything like that. It's, it's a lot like trying to get back into the race. You get that big of a lead. It's not really much you can do with it unless you have a fresh rider on the back.
So the pack can work against you in that respect.
Yeah, they can come swallow him. I think if he goes in and does a bike exchange, the pack will catch him. And I think Feidelt's right now in the green jersey, who are behind these guys right now, behind Dodd's house, are going to recognize that in about a few minutes because they look like they're pushing the pace a little bit more.
Phi Delta Theta, team number 1, has moved up to second place. That's team 33, Alpha Sigma Phi, not on the same lap as Dodd's house, but getting a little draft there from the Dodd's rider.
Now, if you're a lap down, you might as well enjoy yourself out there.
Dodd's house, Alex Enan, their lead rider. We have him unofficially at 75 laps. 75 of the 139 laps ridden by Alex Enan for Dodd's house.
And you see Cutters right behind him. They're going to go in for a bike exchange.
Now the pack beginning to catch up to Dodd's house. Cutters, team 13, Phi Delta Theta, team 1. Team Dotson, although a lap behind, right behind the team 1, Phi Delta Theta. And Enan on the bike for Dodd's house. He's done yeoman's work here with all those laps.
Rider. He's their strong rider.
Be interested to see whether they keep him for the sprint at the end or whether they're using him to keep them in the lead. There's a signal, 1 lap. He wants to go 1 more lap.
Yeah, when you're around this point in the race, 139, if you're going to be the sprinter, maybe you want to get off the bike, kind of relax a little bit, get your energy up so that when you do get on the bike with anywhere from 8 to 5 laps left to go, you got the energy to go.
There you see some bikes on the back, teams on the back straightaway warming up, keeping those legs fresh. So they're ready to roll once they get that bike.
New Phi Delta coming in too.
New bike put in position for Phi Delta Theta. Let's see if they'll exchange. They will on the same lap, the green and the yellow jerseys. Their pits right next to each other as well. Team scrambling for position. Team 9, Chi-Fi was going to make exchange, but it got too crowded. And they went back for another lap. So the only team able to make the change, team number 8, Dodd's house, John Lipnick now on the bike as Alex Enan takes a little break.
Team Dotson we're looking at.
Team 5, Team Dotson out to make an exchange. There it is.
Team Dotson named after Santana Dotson from the Green Bay Packers. I guess it's a little lingo word they use that means whatever when they say Dotson to each other.
Well, they didn't have any experience, so I think they entered the race, so whatever happens is fine. Right. So that's Team Dotson 5. I had a chance to talk to the guys before the race. They were really looking forward to it. A wreck, though, has caused them to move back a little bit.
Team 11 there, Alpha Chi Sigma getting a little... That's team number 4, actually. Phi Psi, they're a lap down as well.
Phi Psi with the exchange there. But not before they had the mishap, and now the exchange takes place.
Yeah, this gets a little frustrating when you're already out of the race and kind of get a little lazy. Things like that can happen.
Here's the back straightaway with your leaders. Sigma Alpha Epsilon, team number 19.
See Sigma Nu coming in for exchange out there, but they're actually...
Let's take a look now. Dodd's house after 140 laps, still in the lead with that big push they made. Phi Delta Theta, team 1, is in second. Theta Chi, team 15, is in third. Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3, is in fourth place. And Chi Phi, team number 9, is in fifth place. The standings have not changed, at least those on the lead lap. Right now, unofficially 8 teams on the lead lap. This will be the completion of lap 146. Team number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon, sprinting out, leaving the pack behind as they're ready for a bike exchange on the next lap. There's the Sigma Phi Epsilon team. Team 33, Alpha Sigma Phi. A leisurely pace across the start-finish line.
This is the team we were talking about earlier, Sigma Phi Epsilon. SIGEP's not traditionally a strong team.
They are in the lead. Here's their exchange. Jason Baker will be getting on the new bike for Sigma Phi Epsilon. The pack approaching. Jason trying to keep up with Team 9 Chi Phi, Team 13, the Cutters, and he's able to. There you see his lead. Couple bike lead now for Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Like I said, all day long they've been doing those great sprint outs.
They rank 11th all time in the standings. They've only won once. That was back in 1970. It's been a long time. A dry spell for Sigma Phi Epsilon. They finished 7th last year. There's Chi Phi, team number 12. Delta Chi, team number 12. They're going to come in for an exchange. Chi Phi is team number 9. And here comes that exchange for Delta Chi. Bright orange jerseys with the lime green helmet. And they do a nice job. They stay right with the lead there.
Yeah, but they're not in the lead lap, Delta Chi.
Delta Chi, no. They are lap down. There's Sigma Phi Epsilon, your leader, and on the bike for them, Jason Baker.
Yeah, but my favorite name is still Jet Tackberry. Jet. I don't want to sprint against a guy named Jet.
That's right.
How about Hugo? That's the guy I want to sprint against.
Jet Tackberry, 69 laps he has ridden. He had a lap just under 36 seconds, so he may have had his jets on that lap, huh?
He looks good. The whole team looks good.
Dodds House, team number 8, back in the front, so didn't take long at all for that rider to bring it back.
There.
John Laskowski and Mike Bars covering the 49th annual Men's Little 500 from the Bill Armstrong Stadium in Bloomington. And it's anticipating a sprint to the finish in this year's race. 8 teams on the lead lap.
Yeah, I'd anticipated it probably would not pick up until a little bit later. You've seen a few teams try to get away from teams, especially like Dodds House. They had about I would say a quarter of a lap lead, and they kind of fell back into the pack. I don't anticipate any teams trying to sprint away.
All right, 3/4 of the race is done. Dave Booker just gets on the bike for Sigma Nu.
They had that wreck earlier in the day. Put them out of the lead.
There's Team 7, the Sigma Nu team. 3/4 of the way around this race. Lap 150 just completed. 50 laps to go. Dodds House has the lead with 50 laps to go.
And guess who's on the bike for them?
And they're ready to make an exchange. Dodds House, team number 8.
That's right. Alex Eden coming in for that
in
exchange.
The front straightaway. There's the exchange. And Dodds House trying to move back into the pack. Huge pack now. Rounds turn 3. Faster teams, slower teams, and teams on the exchange. After 150 laps, Sigma Phi Epsilon, team number 2, is in the lead. Chi Phi, team number 9, in second. Phi Gamma Delta. There you see him, team number 3, coming in for an exchange. Let's watch this Phi Gamma Delta exchange. They move away from some other bikes. There's the exchange right across the start-finish line. Phi Gamma Delta remaining a strong force in this race.
Yeah, and they, the only problem with them is you think when you come down to the end of the race, those guys had to do a lot of work. They were a lap down there for a while, so they got to be tired.
Tired, but still in position, and as long as you're there. There's Acacia, team 18. Acacia ready for an exchange around the 4th turn. Donnie Renner will be on the bike for team 18 Acacia. Let's watch that exchange. Tough angle for his exchange. And then, of course, right in front of them, team number 6, Pi Kappa Phi, with the exchange.
I think Acacia a little frustrated right now being a lap down.
Phi Gamma Delta trying to move right up to the front. Chi Phi, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, Cutters, and Phi Gamma Delta, and Phi Delta Theta. Those 5 teams. There you see them all right there together. Phi Delta Theta in the green jersey. Team 1 takes off as they ready for an exchange. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the premiere of the Oscar-winning movie Breaking Away. As part of the celebration, after the Women's Little 500, there was a re-premiere at the Buskirk Shumley Theater. WTIU News Director Chuck Carney files this report.
On the Friday night of Little 500 weekend, Bloomington once again got a chance to become a little bit more like Hollywood. 20 years after the film Breaking Away first hit movie theaters, it came back to hit a theater in Bloomington. And 20 years after the making and release of that movie, people are still talking about it, and the stars still think about it. A downtown reception greeted the former cast members before the event moved to the old Indiana Theater for another viewing of the film. Lead actor Dennis Christopher and the actress who played his love interest, Robin Douglas, returned for the re-premiere. At a reception before the screening, Douglas indicated that she likes the changes with Bloomington and Little 500, but is glad the movie is a mainstay.
Well, you have the traditional race, and actually, I am so glad that you included women in the women's Little 500. Maybe I slapped Dennis a few times, and maybe he was responsible for it, whatever. I'm glad that you did that, and I'm glad that now it's come like full circle. It's incorporated the movie with the town, and every year there's an anticipation when you go to Bloomington, Indiana, and you're a student, you have this introduction to, a history and an essence in this movie.
The biker who inspired the lead character for writer Steve Tessage says he still enjoys watching the work 20 years later and adds that it holds up well.
In fact, I was watching it really not all that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, in fact. And, every time I see it, I see something that I had not noticed the previous time I'd seen it. So, yeah, it's a great thrill, and it's one of those things, none of us get out of this life alive. So, that's his legacy. That's one of the things that's left behind, and something that no one can ever take away from him or from anyone who ever was associated with him, and, of course, the people who have enjoyed the work that he's done.
What Christopher heard a lot is that he still looks a lot the same. Do you take that as a compliment?
Yeah, how could you not? Yes, of course.
20 years after, Christopher also credits Tessage, who died 3 years ago. It's the heart of Bloomington in the film, he says, that makes Breaking Away so real.
He channeled his imagination into telling a story that captured this town, that captured a feeling, that captured a time, that still appeals to people and still makes you feel good. That's one of the greatest things that you can do with your life, and he did that. And a lot of what I've been thinking about since I've been back here today.
A wonderful re-premiere last night that I had the chance to attend. Great to hear from Robin Douglas and Dennis Christopher, stars of the movie Breaking Away. We have completed 158 laps of the 1999 men's Little 500 bicycle race, and the leaders still remain the same. 8 teams on the lead lap. They will be coming across the start-finish line, and there you see the Cutters, team number 13. They will be the leaders as they ready for exchange. Team 3, Phi Gamma Delta. Team number 1, Phi Delta Theta. Team number 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. There is the Cutters team. Their pit on the very last spot on the back straightaway.
You see Chris Wojtowicz coming in there.
Chris Wojtowicz, we had a visit in the booth from Eddie Van Geis. You've heard from him before, a former movie star for the movie Breakaway on the Cinzano team. He actually does race broadcasting across the country now, and he sent me a note and said Chris Wojtowicz is the best rider in the race. He's covered a lot of races, so he would know.
I would think so.
So Wojtowicz now on the bike for the Cutters. 40 laps to go. Does it seem possible to you that he would ride the remaining 40 laps?
Well, in 97, he was the guy that crossed the finish line before him. I wouldn't be surprised. He knows how to do it. So I mess with success.
The key would be to get him to the lead of the pack and then let him sprint there or whatever it would take.
I think they, with how many laps we have right now, we're at 160 laps. We've got enough time to get a couple other riders on the bike and then put him in position to sprint for the finish.
Unofficially, we only have Wojtowicz for 19 laps.
They're saving him out.
So not very much at all. Dodds House, team number 8, ready for an exchange. They are on the lead lap, one of those 8 leaders in the front. Team number 14, Lambda Chi Alpha. There you see going down the back stretch. They ready for an exchange. Here comes Lambda Chi Alpha, team 14. They've ridden in 40 races but never won. Team number 4, Phi Kappa Psi. They are a few laps down, but still, I guess you could say giving the old college try would really apply to
this. They're doing really well. Along with them, and the one thing we have not talked about who is quietly staying on this lead lap is Theta Kai.
Team number 15, Theta Kai.
And a couple riders. I mean, really, Todd Smith is your only guy. He's 1 year experience. The rest of them are rookies.
Team number 10, Fratello. Their first year in existence. They are a few laps behind. But right now in front of the lead pack, there are your leaders.
Team number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon, right there.
In the black. Here's an exchange on the front straightaway. Team 10 Fratello. You can see they were preparing for that exchange. They moved out. Sigma Phi Epsilon crosses in the lead after lap 163.
And you can really see him relaxing right now. He's really not pushing the pace. He's trying to save his legs a little bit.
Well, the decision by all of those 8 teams in the lead lap. When do we make that last exchange in order to get our positions set for that sprint at the end?
And I really think if you're one of the strong teams as well, possibly the Cutters, the Fidels, SAAs, who have a couple of good riders, maybe get your second best rider, not your sprinter, on the bike with about 15 laps to go and really push this pace to separate the contenders and the pretenders, if you want to say.
And you'd want a small pack. You'd want the pack of 8 leaders, not a big pack like we have now.
Absolutely. Then you can make it honest. I mean, you got to use your advantages. If you have a strong team, you got to use your full team.
Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3, they pull away. As we check their pit, they're ready to make a bike exchange. Actually, they'll use the same bike. Quite a lead now by Phi Gamma Delta. Good job, as they've been involved in 2 accidents in today's race already.
It's like Sam Horton on the bike coming in right now.
Here's the exchange for Phi Gamma Delta. Back on the bike, John Cornelius.
He's rode a phenomenal race today.
Is on the bike and ready to go. Phi Gamma Delta in the lead. As he looks over his shoulder and waits for the pack to catch up to him. As we look now, there you see the pack. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 bikes not involved with that lead pack. An amazing group of riders there all together.
Well, you can see a few of them staying to the outside. Those are the guys that are a few laps down.
Let's see if that lead, the group of leaders doesn't pull away from this pack. As you mentioned, Mike, very dangerous to stay in there very long.
Absolutely, absolutely. And see, here's where the problem occurs, is when you have a few teams on the lead lap and you've got the rest of the guys just kind of sitting in there. They're not even in the race. They should stay to the outside, and they don't. And that can cause a wreck.
But it keeps them from going another lap down. So they're looking at, hey, at least we don't go down another.
Right, and you do, you still get the chance to ride in the pack. And for the teams that perhaps are out of the race this year, for those young riders, get them on the bike, get them, teach them how to ride in a pack, which is very important for next year.
We talked about only one team being happy, but in reality, there could be a team gaining experience. If you move from 30th to 12th or 11th, hey, that's quite a move, and that's a pretty happy day.
Absolutely. Hey, got something to shoot for next year.
Team number 1, Phi Delta Theta, moves out as they're ready for a bike exchange. They will have the lead after lap 167. There's the exchange on the left of your screen. And there's the pack, the lead pack that goes around him. Of that pack, the leaders are at the front. Team number 17, Delta Tau Delta, speeds up for an exchange. Now on the inside, team number 4, Phi Kappa Psi in the blue jersey. They move up for a bike exchange. There's team 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. Team 18, Acacia right behind them, a lap behind. It's almost hard now to pick out the leaders.
It's like Chi Phi coming in for a bike exchange.
Sigma Phi Epsilon on the outside. They make the move right there in the black.
There you go.
Oh, that back wheel spun out a little bit.
There's that sprint out again. I'm telling you, these guys are riding strong.
Sigma Phi Epsilon ready for their exchange. There's Chi Phi, team number 9, still in that lead group of 8 teams. Excellent job by Chi Phi in today's race.
Now this has got to fire you up when you see your rider do an exchange like this, build a great lead.
Andy Lupo will be on the bike for Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Oh, he's going to tell him to keep going. Oh, he's not.
Oh, he's slowing him down. Now here comes the tag. Sigma Phi Epsilon. John Lupo back on the bike. Andy Lupo. And they do have the lead quite easily. He turns around. Looks like he's going very leisurely, waiting for the pack to catch him.
One of the great things about this, too, is when you're doing great exchanges at this point in the race, it's almost like a psychological edge.
Looks like he wants the pack to catch him, huh, Mike?
Absolutely, absolutely. At this point, why bother trying to do a sprint away? Lap 169. Take your time, prepare yourself for the end.
But I imagine some of the fans, 30 laps to go, surely one of these guys could take 30 laps and run away, but not realistic.
No.
From a rider's standpoint.
Yeah, the year that we won it in 1990, I did an 8-lap set, and I was going to do 10 laps, and we tried to build up a lead. I built up a 7-second lead, and then eventually went down to 4 seconds. I mean, and they were trying to get me to do 10. I said, I'm only doing one more. 8 laps is enough. I'm dead tired.
I'm young, and I want to use these legs for a few more years, right? Okay.
Well, it just gets physically exhausted when you're out there by yourself.
We have completed now 170 laps. There's a bike exchange. Team 18, Acacia. There's team number 9, Chi-Fi. What a great job they've done. They ready for an exchange. Sigma Phi Epsilon. Right near the top, there's the Chi-Fi bike exchange. They stay with the leader.
Doing a good
Sigma
job.
Alpha Epsilon, team number 19, moving out. There they are. They will ready for an exchange around turn 4. So we anticipate at least one more change for each team, probably 2. And there's the Sigma Alpha Epsilon.
The SAE is looking good.
Riders, they wait for this exchange. Roger Nuremberg on the bike now. Excellent rider for Sigma Alpha Epsilon. Here are the standings after 170 laps. Sigma Phi Epsilon. Sigma Alpha Epsilon in second. Phi Gamma Delta third. Dodge House defending champs in fourth. Chi-Phi in fifth. Cutters also in that lead group. Theta Chi is in that group. And the Cutters, team 13, still among that lead group of 8.
See Acacia coming in there. Okay, here comes Dodge House. We're going into a bike exchange.
Exchange for Dodge House. Keeps them right near the front of the pack.
It's John Lipnick on the bike.
They go around turn 2. Dodge House with the lead. Now Phi Delta Theta and the Cutters move right past Dodge House. Phi Delta Theta ready for an exchange. They will be the leader. There you see team 16. Collins Cycling, team 10, Fratello with some exchanges. And there's the Phi Delta Theta exchange. Keeps them with the leader.
I see Cutters right now going in for a bike exchange.
Boy, this is the time of the race, Mike, where they just don't want to have that crash, because that would really kill you, because there's only 25 laps to go now. Final strategy's rearing to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You do not want to get in a wreck right now. Come this far and have this many teams on the lead lap.
Changed by the Cutters, team 13. They are still on the lead lap. But this big pack has stayed for quite a while all together.
And it really gives the teams that, a break if they're getting the draft off someone.
All right, let's go back to the infield. The report from Jody Zink.
Thanks, John. I'm here with Larry Peasy, whom I like to refer to as the Roadmaster Bikes guy. Now, all of these bikes out here are all the same. Tell me why.
Well, it's the equalizer. We don't want to advantage any of the teams by letting them use different equipment.
Got it. Now, how are the bikes holding up here today?
Really well, surprisingly. They're built on a platform that enables them to be really durable.
What are what's the most difficult mechanical, the most common mechanical difficulty of these bikes?
Generally, it's when there's an accident or something and one of the wheels get bent and they have to do a wheel change. That's really difficult for the teams to accomplish.
Got it. Now, if I want to buy one of these bikes, can I just go into any bike store and buy one of these little 500 bikes?
Not a chance. These things are really specific to this event.
How could a person get one of these bikes?
You got to ride the race.
Thank you very much. That's Larry Peasy, the Roadmaster bike guy. It's time now to go back to John in the press box.
Thanks, Jody. We have now completed lap 177 of this race, 200 laps, 23 laps to go. There you see the Acacia team, number 18. They move out for an exchange. Just ahead of the lead pack.
And they're one lap off right now.
One lap behind. There are your leaders. Phi Gamma Delta, the white jersey, team number 3. Dodds House, team number 8. Team number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon in the black jersey. Team number 1, Phi Delta Theta. Here's the Acacia exchange right at the 4th turn. And the wheel goes up. Not too bad. Not bad at all for Acacia. On that exchange, here's the pack. They cross the start-finish line. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team 2 in the lead. In fact, all the leaders now right at the front of that pack. 8 teams on the lead lap. Down the back straightaway.
You really see the teams right now. I'm checking everybody's laps, especially for their sprinters. You know, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Steve Kopak is their sprinter. He's only rode 43 laps in this race. Mike Posley for Phi Delta, he finished second, missing out. He's ridden about 52 laps. And Chris Wojtowicz from the Cutters, your man there, has ridden a very low total, I think 20 laps.
So that would mean those might be the riders you're looking to finish the race.
Yeah, you know, what generally you want to do is give your sprinter as few laps as possible. If you can get him, if you can get through the race without using him for the majority of the laps, he's going to have the legs at the end and go for the sprint. That's really what you want.
And they're in the back straightaway now. Tight pack. 8 of those bikes on the lead lap. The rest drafting to keep from going another lap down. Here's a sprint out by team number 1, Phi Delta Theta. They will be your leader after lap 180. 20 laps to go in this little 500 race. Good exchange. Biker of team 14 moves out of the way to avoid contact with team 1, Phi Delta Theta. And that puts Sigma Alpha Epsilon in the lead. Team number 19. Chi Phi, team number 9, right out after him. And in fact, Chi Phi actually goes by him. Chi Phi ready for an exchange. Team number 9, as is team number 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, both on the front straightaway. This is Chi Phi, team number 9. There you see the tag. Dodds House, team number 8, also making an exchange. Nice work by Dodds House. They stay with the leaders. And the Cutters have the lead. That would be Chris Wojtowicz on the bike for the Cutters. And the standings after 180 laps. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team number 2 in the lead. Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3. Sigma Alpha Epsilon, team number 19. Dodds House, team number 8, defending champ, is in 4th. Phi Delta Theta, the pole setter, team number 1, in 5th place. We have 18 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. Sigma Phi Epsilon in the lead as they make the exchange. They are the leaders. They remain in the lead after that exchange. They catch right to the Cutters, team 13. Jet Jackberry on the bike for Sigma Phi Epsilon.
You see kind of everybody start positioning now. Lap 182. Here's where the strategy starts to come in. When do you want to take off? Do you want to take off early? Or do you just want to wait and get the sprinter on the bike with 5 laps to go?
Just over 2 hours of racing has been completed. Still 18 laps to go.
That's a really slow race.
Record 2 hours and 6 minutes, so that will not be touched at all today. But if you win, I guess it doesn't really matter what the time was.
Doesn't really matter, no.
You're not going to remember that tonight.
Just hold up the number 1 thing.
That's all right. Get to the press stand and take their picture. All right, let's go back to Jody Zink on the infield with Randy Rogers.
Well, thank you. I'm standing down here with Randy Rogers, who's the director of the Indiana University Student Foundation. Tell me, Randy, what are some of the charitable aspects of this event?
Well, the main aspect of the program is scholarships for working students. We give away over $45,000 a year to students who are working their way through school.
It started that way in 1950, and it's continued that way ever since.
To date, about how much money have you given out to students?
Well, to date this year, we've given away over $33,000, but that was based on last year's scholarship from last year's race. The proceeds from this year's race will go to scholarships for next year.
And then each student gets $1,000, is that right?
That is correct. And then we have several other awards that go to riders and that go to other participants throughout the year, from IU Sing to just general scholarships over the course of the year.
Great. Now, something else, there's going to be some changes coming on around here. The stadium is going to be renovated. Talk about that.
Yes, next year we are embarking on the 50th running of the race, and it's very appropriate that we're going to redo this stadium. We're going to come in and put permanent seating on the back stretch. We're going to redo a lot on the front stretch. It's going to be a gorgeous look. If you look at the Haw track, that's a very similar look to what we're going to have up here.
Do you know when that's scheduled to be completed?
As soon as we can get everything out of here after the race.
Well, one last thing. I would be remiss if I did not talk about the pants that you are wearing today. Tell me the story behind these pants.
Well, it's actually a great honor because these pants, there's only two that exist in that we're all aware of. Howdy Wilcox and Bill Armstrong had both of them. Bill, unfortunately, passed away over the summer. We're probably going to frame his. Howdy gave his to me last year and said it's time to pass the torch. Those two guys have worn these at every race since that we can remember. I actually saw them in the movie Breaking Away as we watched it last night. They were the same pair Howdy had on. I had to take them in about 4 inches, but they still work, and I think it's a great tradition that hopefully we can carry on.
Well, it sure is. It's time now to go back to John in the press box.
Thanks, Jody. They did not issue pants to the announcers that we would have to wear, Mike Bars.
I know, and it's really embarrassing up here wearing
Theta Chi, team number 15 in the lead. A silent team, but boy, they have moved up right to the front. We have 14 laps to go. This is lap 186. Here's a message. Get out of that mess, okay? That is Team 19, Sigma Alpha Epsilon. No question what that means, huh? Let's see if we can see the SAE rider. That's Team 19 in the yellow and
I know exactly
purple
what he's
jersey.
saying.
Chi Phi number Team 9 moving out. This is going to be their exchange. 13 laps to go. This could be their last exchange.
Yeah, I think SAE is just trying to tell them, you don't need to get in a wreck right now. You're in the middle of that pack with guys that aren't even in the race. They're a lap down.
Chi Phi moving way ahead. They will have
Oh, see, there you go. Oh, the cutters, everybody went down.
There it is. There's the wreck on the third turn. The cutters down. Sigma Alpha Epsilon down. The Chi Phis have the lead on a bike exchange.
Dodge House is still
Dodge House alive. Phi Gamma Delta still alive. Sigma Phi Epsilon still alive. That puts 4 teams in the lead. And now a yellow flag. The yellow flag will go out. Too many teams went down.
What I was just talking about.
Lap 188 as they rounded turn 3, the according effect, a huge wreck which cost 4 of the teams on the lead lap their position. Phi Delta Theta, team number 1 involved in that accident. Let's watch it. Let's take a look on the replay and see what happened. Here they come. There's team 8, Dodge, Team Phi Gamma Delta.
Who caused that?
There's the accident on the inside.
That was Theta Chi? Was that?
Team number 15 went down and then caused all the other teams to fall on top.
And they actually got through the race.
And Team 15, there you see, snuck around the inside. All right, we're trying to regroup here. The yellow flag is out.
Looks like Theta Chi, somebody in front of him slowed down a little bit. He bumped the wheels, touching the brake, and everybody else. Domino effect. Oh, that is brutal.
4 teams now, we believe, to be on the lead lap.
Oh.
That would be Chi Phi. They would have had the lead. They sprinted out for an exchange. You were just talking about luck. If Chi Phi does move out for the exchange, maybe that's them involved in that wreck. Dodge House, team number 8. There is the Phi Kappa Psi rider. Down, that's team number 4. He was involved in that accident. Trying to pick up. Now the leaders just went by. Dodge House, team 8. Chi Phi, team 9. Phi Delta Theta, team Phi Gamma Delta, team 3, and Sigma Phi Epsilon.
So basically, you got the team in the yellow, the team in the white, the team in the black, and I think Phi Delta Theta, I believe, is a lap down.
They would be a lap down. They were involved in that accident.
That is just...
We have completed 190 laps. Let's talk about strategy.
Well,
when you go green, do you bring it in for an exchange, or is this enough rest so the rider could complete the race?
I think what you need to do is, normally, as soon as it goes green, sprint. Take off, sprint, and stay on the bike for a little bit. And then I would try to position yourself enabling about 5 laps left to go, and then get your sprinter on the bike.
There are 9 laps left to go after the riders coming down. The green flag.
So do a couple of quick laps if they don't already have their sprinter on right now, and then get your sprinter on and position yourself at the end of the race. With only, is there 3 teams on the lead right now?
4 teams on the lead right now. Looks like one more lap of yellow. The third turn is now clear. The leaders are rounding turn 1. There's the medical people. They raced right over to turn 3 to take care of the injuries.
You can see all your colors right here. You have the
Kai-Fi,
maroon
team number
in
9.
The yellow, Dodge House.
Dodge House, team number 8. The white team,
the white.
Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3. And Sigma Phi Epsilon in all black, team number 2. Those are the 4 teams still on the lead lap.
How about the Fijis, huh? They were a lap down, and they found themselves with only 4 guys left in the lead lap.
Right in position. They round turn 3. There are 8 laps to go, and they cross the finish line. Chappie Blackwell, the chief starter, has the green flag in his right hand. There you see the Cutters.
Now, I think the Cutters look like they're doing a little talking there.
They would be a lap down. And the green flag is out. Racing has begun. Kai-Fi into the lead.
I think
Alpha Epsilon in second. Phi Gamma Delta in third.
Now here's the very important thing that hopefully the officials are watching. There's only 4 teams on the lead lap. Everybody move out to the outside. Give these guys a chance to sprint for the finish. You don't want to see another stupid accident with just so few laps to go.
Well, let's see what happens. We have completed 192 laps. Cutters, team 13, a lap down, but still in this lead group. Phi Delta Theta is going to make an exchange. Chi-Phi, the lead team, that's team number 9. In the white jersey, Phi Gamma Delta is in second place. Sigma Alpha Epsilon, team number 19, is in third, and Sigma Phi Epsilon is in fourth place. Those are your 4 leaders, and they now have moved to the front of that pack.
I think you're going to see Phi Gams on the outside here in the white, team number 3, coming in for a bike exchange. Will get their sprinter on the bike.
They will. Phi Gamma Delta moves to the outside on turn 4, and they will make their last exchange. We will have 6 laps to go after this exchange. That means Chi-Phi takes the lead.
Look at Chi-Phi.
Good exchange by Phi Gamma Delta. They'll have their last rider, Todd Cornelius, on the bike for Phi Gamma Delta.
And they may do one more exchange. I don't know if they're going to have him sprint in because John Cornelius, his brother, is got more experience, but hey, maybe Todd's a stronger sprinter.
Team number 9, Chi-Phi, there they are in the deep purple jersey. They are your leader. Team number 13, the Cutters, a lap behind. Acacia, a lap behind, moves to the outside for the exchange.
What a race.
Team number 2, Sigma Phi Epsilon, makes an exchange. They are on the lead lap. Chi-Phi, team number 9, has the lead. Dodge House is in second. Team number 8, they're the yellow jersey. Phi Gamma Delta is in third. They are in the white jersey, team 3.
And you see Sigma Phi Epsilon kind of coming up there, keeping them honest.
Chi-Phi is going to make a change, and Dodge House are going to make a change simultaneously. We have completed 195 laps, 4 laps to go. John Emmetsberger will be on the bike for Chi-Phi. Here's the all-important exchange for Chi-Phi.
And imagine this is the guy they're going to keep on the bike because I think Sigma Phi Epsilon is going to do another exchange to get their sprinter on the bike.
David Warren on the bike for Dodge House. There they are, Chi-Phi and Dodge House, chasing Phi Gamma Delta. Phi Gamma Delta now has the lead, going down the back straightaway. Number 3, Phi Gamma Delta. They are your leader in the all-white. They recovered from 2 accidents in this race. Dodge House, team number 8, trying to catch him. This will be lap 197 as they cross the line.
The black team right now,
Sigma Phi Epsilon
is your leader, but they just did a bike exchange.
Phi Gamma Delta has just passed them. There's your 2 leaders, 1 and 2. Phi Gamma Delta, Sigma Phi Epsilon, 1 and 2. Dodge House, team number 8, coming behind. Chi-Phi's falling back, and they're pinned in by some slower riders.
There you go. Now these teams got to move to the outside, give these guys a chance to sprint.
Looks like a 3-team race right here. Sigma Phi Epsilon, team 2 in the lead. Phi Gamma Delta, team number 3. And Dodge House in the yellow, team number 8.
These guys, Dodge House going to try to do an exchange. They're going to try to get their sprinter on the bike, but they may be falling back here.
Going to make an exchange. There are 2 laps to go.
And these are your 2 guys to watch right now, Sigma Phi Epsilon and Phi Gamma Delta.
Those are the 2 on the lead. Dodds House with a chance to catch them. Chi Phi also. We have 2 laps to go. The white flag will be out as they cross the start-finish line. Dodds House trying to make up some distance, but right now they round turn 3.
Like Jet Tackberry on the bike and John Cornelius.
John Tackberry and John Cornelius. Sigma Phi Epsilon and Phi Gamma Delta. The yellow flag is out.
That's Todd Cornelius.
1 lap to go. In the 1999 Little 500, it's Sigma Phi Epsilon around turn 2. Dodds House and Chi Phi do not look like they'll be able to catch them. Sigma Phi Epsilon still in the lead. They're down the back straightaway. Sigma Phi Epsilon is first. Todd Cornelius for Phi Gamma Delta trying to catch them. They round turn 3. The track is clear in front of them. It's a 2-team race. Here we go. They round the 4th third. Sigma Phi Epsilon on the inside. Phi Gamma Delta on the outside. Sprint to the finish, and your winner, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Team number 2, Steve Kopak, crosses the line just in front of Phi Gamma Delta. Team number 3, Sigma Phi Epsilon, your winner in the 1999 Little 500. They finished 7th last year. They qualified 2nd this year. And it came down to some luck. They avoided that crash with 10 laps to go.
Bold move trying to take the lead there on the last lap. Usually want to catch a wheel or something like that, but he led from start to finish, won that race, and Phi Gamma rider tried to come around the outside of him. Unfortunately, couldn't catch him.
Jet Tackberry on the bike for Sigma Phi Epsilon. And he pulls out the victory for his team. They had not won since 1970. 29 years they've waited. These kids weren't even born the last time that Sigma Phi Epsilon won this race.
That was Steve Kopak on the bike.
Steve Kopak on the bike.
That was their sprinter. He's their main guy.
Saw them making that exchange. He got the bike, and there you see the mayhem just across the start-finish line. Their pit area, just the second one past the start-finish line, and their fans, the EP on the back of their shirts signifying Sig Ep, the Greek letters for Sig Ep.
Tell you what, they rode a great race. All day long I was talking about their sprint outs and how dominating they were.
Let's take a look at the monitor here as we take a look at this slow motion of this last lap. Sigma Phi Epsilon led it the whole way. Great effort by Phi Gamma Delta, recovering from 2 wrecks earlier in the race to keep themselves in a position to win this. Look at those legs grinding. The Sigma Phi Epsilon rider not going to give up the inside, which meant Phi Gamma Delta had to go to the outside and had to make a little wider turn, a little more distance to cover.
Yep, that was good strategy.
Steve Kopak was able to cross that line. There you see where Phi Gamma Delta was coming strong. That's finish line not too far away. Presentations now being made on the stage to the division winners. Team number 8 is Dodds House, last year's defending champions. There you see them. They are the residence winners. Dodds House, team number 8. So first last year. They will finish in the top 4 today. They finished 4th overall in the race, first in the residential division. The independent winner is the Cutters, team number 13. I expected them to make a sprint. They had their best rider, Chris Wojtowicz, on the bike. He had gotten on with about 20 laps to go. Got caught up in that accident on lap 188, and now they're able to show his sprint at the end.
Yeah, this the X factor I talked about before the race started, the wrecks. You got to stay out of the wrecks and have a little bit of luck.
But a nice effort. They win the independent division. The Cutters win the independent division. A little disappointing that they were involved in that wreck, because we expected Wojtowicz to make a huge run toward this finish.
Yeah, well, there's not much you can do about that. A couple wheels go down. He tried to avoid it, and unfortunately couldn't.
In the Crimson division, the fraternities divided into 2 separate divisions. Cream and the Crimson. The Crimson division winner, Phi Gamma Delta. They finished 2nd in the race. The Fijis,
they rode a phenomenal race. Being half a lap down, coming back in the middle of the race, getting back into the pack and being there for the finish. And like I said, I don't think they had the legs there because simply for the fact they were half a lap down, chasing the pack for most of the day.
Congratulations from the president of the Indiana University Foundation, Kurt Simic, And some smiles from Phi Gamma Delta. Randy Rogers with his congratulations. He's president of the Indiana University Student Foundation. And now the cream division winner, Sigma Phi Epsilon, and the overall winner of the 1999 men's Little 500 bicycle race, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Members of the team, Jet Sackberry, Andy Lupo, Jason Baker, and Steve Kopak. There's their huge sign, Sig Ep. And their fans dressed in white and black, the color chosen by Sigma Phi Epsilon, as they raise the roof here in Bloomington.
They just rode a phenomenal race all day. And as we saw, every sprint out they did, they just got a big jump on the pack. Looked strong. You knew they were going to be there at the end.
There's their sponsor from Howie's Bagel Bakery. That is Howie. That's the way to get to the victory stand when you're not a rider. Howie, a former student here back in the 60s, happens to be the sponsor. Susie Johnson. She is the granddaughter of Bill Armstrong, who this stadium is named after. She is president of the Indiana University Steering Committee, vice president, and she presents the winning team with their Hawaiian leis in red and white, only fitting for Indiana.
Right.
And then now the smiles come out. They may be tired, but they're not showing it now.
No, you know, this is the best moment in the world right now. Everybody's checking you out. You're the #1 team. You train all year long just for one chance. You just want to win it once. That's it. Now they can say they've done it.
They received the Bill Armstrong Trophy. That was Martha Lee Armstrong, who presented the Bill Armstrong Trophy to the winning team, Sigma Phi Epsilon. There's the silver trophy, reminiscent of the Borg Warner Trophy, given away at the 500.
And that's on display at the foundation. Their names will be on it.
There's a happy group, Sigma Phi Epsilon. Team number 2, they will be in the yellow jerseys next year. Another group getting a picture down front. There you see the Sigma Phi Epsilon team is the steering committee for the Student Foundation. This is their last big event as a team, and they want to remember this as well. There they are. There's your steering committee for the Student Foundation. They do a lot of the work to put this race together, led by Mike Foote. He did a great job. You heard him on our broadcast in the interview, and he's their leader, and they do a great job at putting this race together. The kids enjoy working on this, and you can tell they do a great job. Sigma Phi Epsilon, the 1999 winner of the men's Little 500. Let's go to Jody Zink, man, the winner.
Thank you. I'm here with the 1999 champion, Sigma Phi Epsilon, for the men's Little 500 champions. First of all, you had the final sprint here today, right? Who had the final sprint? You had the final sprint today.
Yeah.
Tell me what was going through your mind at lap 199.
Win the race. That's all we wanted. It's all about hard for our team. I don't want to let anybody down. These guys all worked hard together. There's a few guys that trained with us and worked hard too, and I wanted to win it for everybody.
Great. Well, did you guys have any injuries that you were dealing with today?
No injuries whatsoever. It's all good out there. No injuries.
How did you manage to get away from the wreck out there?
Well, the wreck, we knew at the end to stay up front. We stayed up front all race, and we stayed up front at the end. We had the pole, we worked hard, but it paid off. I'd like to say that this is really the culmination of something that started 3 years ago when Scott Pike, our captain here, right back here, brought us up as rookies. And since then, we've built this team. We've built this little CF biking organization, and it paid off here at the end. I love all these guys.
It sure did. And are you the coach?
No, I'm the sponsor.
You're the sponsor. Talk to me about how did communication play into your team today? How did communication play into your team today? Was it important?
Yeah, obviously communication is important. You have to communicate with other teams. You have to communicate with each other. We had Scott Pike in the pig, did a great job. Told us when to come out, when to get in, work on our positioning, communicated everything worked out perfectly throughout.
Tell me about your strategy besides winning. Obviously, what did you guys have? Talk to me about that.
I guess our strategies are to use our depth to our best of our advantage, and we did that. We tried to wear out the field. We went 4 deep today. Everyone went hard, and we pushed the pace, and whether we were at the front, stay in front, we were good enough to do that, and leave it all on the track. It's a gutsy team. It's a gutsy team.
How do your legs feel?
Fresh. All right, another one. Do it again.
I might not get on the bike for another 8 weeks. I might never get on the bike again. No, I'm just kidding. My legs are really tired.
We're going to Howie's Bagels.
We're going to Howie's Bagels.
We're going to Howie's Bagels. Now, what's next for you guys? I mean, you just won a Little 500 now. What are you going to do?
Disney World, baby.
Go
We're
pro.
going to Disney World.
All going pro.
I'm going to the tour.
From here, I think a couple of us might go to St. Louis for the Indiana Regional bike race next weekend. It's a Midwest Collegiate Cycling event, and hopefully we'll go to Nationals. But we'll see how it goes after tonight.
The cycling is definitely in all of your futures?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are you guys going to be doing tonight?
Confidential. We can't tell you that. Low-key cars and maybe a movie.
Maybe a movie. Okay. Well,
in bed by 10.
I'll bet so. Okay, well, it's time now to go back to John in the press box. But first, I want to congratulate our 1999 winner, Sigma Phi Epsilon, as well as all of the participants today who competed in the race. Thank you. Back to you, John.
All right, thanks, Jody. And they'll either be a dinner and a movie or Howie's Bagel Bakery.
Right.
The winner of the 1999 men's Little 500, Sigma Phi Epsilon. For Mike Bars, this is John Laskowski. Good day from Bloomington.
VHS copies of the men's and women's Little 500 races in their entirety are available from WTIU. For more information, write to WTIU or call during normal business hours. The WTIU broadcast of the Little 500 is made possible in part by Smithville Telephone Company, offering ISDN to Ellettsville, as well as internet services and custom calling features to subscribers. Smithville Telephone Company, where community involvement is their corporate commitment. Smithville Telephone, connecting you to the rest of the world. And by Taylor Imprinted Sportswear, a division of TIS Incorporated. Taylor Imprinted Sportswear offers imprinted and embroidered logos on T-shirts, sweatshirts, golf shirts, and more. Additional information is available at 331-6795. And by Brunswick, makers of Mongoose and Roadmaster bicycles, who proudly supply bicycles for the Little 500. With additional support from the Indiana University Student Foundation, the Indiana University Foundation, and the